Good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing? Hope everyone's having a lovely day, a lovely whatever time of day it is where you are. I feel like most people are from Europe or maybe the US. Very rarely do we get the Australians here at this time, but wouldn't that be fun? Hope everyone's having a fantastic time. And today is a very special stream because we're joined by a very special guest who I will bring onto the screen in but a second. Once I make sure I actually set everything up properly, because I obviously never do. Today we are joined, let me unmute, by... Oh, I've literally obviously left that on the screen. There you go. Alex. Hello, JokerAlex. How are you doing?
How are you doing? I'm doing alright. Nice to be here, as
I told
always.
you I'd fuck up something, obviously, in the first 5 seconds. Now, please, everyone tell me, can you hear him? Because I'm always scared that I've not set up something properly.
Well,
anyway, how are you doing?
How
are you doing, Alex?
I'm doing alright, thanks. I'm doing great. Yeah, it's really awesome to be here to talk about these two crazy PS1 titles.
I think some of the best PlayStation 1 games that there are, right?
Definitely up there. Definitely up there.
Well, definitely in the most selling, right? Was it the first one? Was one of the... I was either in the top 5 or the top 10 selling PS1 games, from what I remember.
Philosopher's Stone is, yes.
Yeah. Did Chamber of Secrets sell well? I actually have no idea. I never bothered looking it up. I assume no?
Chamber did okay.
Okay.
I mean, it didn't do badly, but yeah, not as good as Philosopher, obviously.
Mm.
But you have to bear in mind, of course, we had the PS2 at that point, so
yes, that's
everyone
true.
played the PS2 version, which is no shock.
Yes. Anyway, before we get into more, I don't know, more detail right into the games, how about let's do a little introduction? So I'm assuming most people on the stream here know at least who I am, I would hope, unless you've randomly stumbled upon the stream, in which case... welcome to the chaos that will probably ensue. But I'm Phil. I haven't made many in a while because I've been busy finishing my PhD and having new jobs, apparently already 2 since that. But I make sort of video essays and things like that surrounding games from the noughties and 90s, a lot of Harry Potter games. I played a lot of them when I was young, so I played the first one on PS1. I played the second one on PS2. I played a few on PS2, a few of the early ones on PC, and then I kind of stopped around, I guess, the fourth one. But I'm starting to play through them all again, streaming on here. And they don't get better as they go along, as we know. Actually, there's like a bit where it goes up again, and then it goes back down again. But anyway, sorry, introduce yourself, please.
Okay, that was an interesting way of introducing yourself. Alright, so hi everyone. So I'm Alex. Obviously some of you will know who I am because you've seen me before or you've come from my channel to this. Yeah, so I used to work in the games industry for a bit in QA. I do mostly video editing and website design now, do some reverse engineering of games as well. So myself and a good friend of mine, Chip, have set up a little group called Fix Enhancers so that we repair games like these games that you love to play, the Harry Potters, so you can play them better and actually have a good experience with them. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, from playing the HP games, I played every single damn last one of them. And yes, Phil is right that they do get quite bad later on. But yes, they do have a good point, sort of, I guess we'll call it a good point, where they go up to a sensible degree of okayness. After a super downhill spike.
Also, everyone let me know how the music levels are in the background. I might put them down a little bit because I think they're a little bit loud.
Oh god, here we go. I see Chloe's
like live DJing on the stream. Hello, Chloe. Alex's favourite game is the fourth one, lol.
Everyone keeps doing this. They keep saying that I love Goblet of Fire when I've so many times made myself very plain and clear that I despise it.
Is it, what in your opinion is... Well, they might be two different answers, but what is your least favourite and what is the worst one?
Oh.
They could both be the same, obviously, but...
I don't think they are, to be fair. I mean, my opinions change a fair bit throughout the series, but there's something that always is consistent at the bottom, and that's HP7, definitely Allo's Part 1. truly one of the most god awful experiences you will ever play.
I think that's the next one that I have to play actually. So
you're in for a super boring time. Enjoy.
really?
It's a very dull game. I'll be honest. It's one of those games that you almost wonder why. Why did we bother? Is there a point in the end? But yeah, I think, to be honest, the worst is definitely HP7. When it comes to, I'm going to divert from your point a little bit, but the least entertaining / most disappointing is HP4.
Really? Okay, interesting. I guess disappointing because we were expecting great things, as in most of them up until that point had been pretty good. So to then take the nosedive, I guess that it did.
Well, I guess the difference really is that with HP 3 to 4, 3 was actually a really solid game, and then 4 was just an absolute disaster. But then when you go to 7, 6, in my opinion, was not that great. It was okay, but it wasn't that great. So to be fair, at that point, I wasn't too shocked, shall we say? We hadn't really got that same quality that we had back with the first 3 games for ages. So, it's sort of like take it as it comes kind of experience.
Yeah, part 1 is so boring.
It is. It really is.
I
don't know how you're going to cope with part 1, to be honest.
How long does it take to play, do you think?
If you really want to play it properly, then not too long, I suppose. But if you want to do what I like to do, which is ignore most of the enemies and run past them, because you can do that in that game, to speed up the boringness process, then probably not too long. I would say I'll go for 4.5 hours if you just rush through it.
Okay. And if you don't, I guess it'll be a bit more than that. Okay, good to know.
It would be longer, yeah. The bits that take the longest, surprisingly, are actually the side missions that really shouldn't even be in the game. But anyway, the side missions are the bit that you are forced to do, so we might as well call them main missions, I guess. But yes, those things take forever sometimes to do, just because they're like these, I don't want to spoil it for you too much, but they're effectively like these sort of repetitiveness sort of events that you keep coming back to, that you really don't want to come back to. I can't really say any more without spoiling it, so I'm going to go with that.
Okay, I look forward to it then. And before we get on to the rest of the stream, what is your favourite Harry Potter game?
Favourite? I think everyone knows this at this point, and it wouldn't be a shock. Chamber of Secrets for the PC is easily my favourite. That's never going to get beaten, though. Yeah. I have my many reasons for that, but I think the big reason in particular is the fact that if you were like me and you grew up with these and you played them all in order, in particular with Philosopher's Stone for PC, it was a great game, don't get me wrong, I love the game. But when you look at the jump from that to Chamber, I mean, like the quality size, the improvements, the overall just everything was better for the most part. Yeah, I mean, it really shows. Nothing else in the series does that, in my opinion. I mean, you could argue maybe 4 to 5 did it, but I'm not sure I'm going to really say that's fair, because 4 is a completely different style game to 5, and also it was really bad to the point where, honestly, 5 was just like a miracle.
So, yeah, 5 could have been even just average at best, and it would have been good. It would have been the best thing ever. Okay.
Honestly, yes.
You've already been asked, when are you growing your moustache?
I just recently shaved.
Oh.
If you were actually, some of the people that obviously were at my stream on Saturday, you would have seen that I had a whole beard and everything. I literally just shaved. Yeah. So
the opportunity was there, but lost.
It's in the bin. There you go.
Can you see the chat, by the way? I assume you've got it
up. I can. Okay, yeah, I can see it. Don't worry.
Nice. Okay,
it's also weird looking at me, just quickly, like looking at you over here and looking at me there. I'm at 2 completely different angles. So it looks really weird. It's like left me and right me.
We should have set up like multiple different cameras and had a proper 3D cinema experience. Okay, so the purpose of the stream today is to talk about the PS1 games, of which there are 2. There's Philosopher's Stone, or the Sorcerer's Stone, and then Chamber of Secrets. When did the first one come out? Was it 2001? Something like that?
Yes.
I think then the second
And
one
then
was...
Chamber was 2002.
Yes, okay. So I've recently just finished playing through them both. So I had the first one when I was young, and I had the second one... Well, I only just played it for the first time, like, just over a year ago. I don't think I knew it existed when I started, like, doing stuff on YouTube, to be honest. I literally had no idea, because I'd never really, like, looked up all of the games before, because it wasn't really something I'd ever thought about. And then discovered there's, like, a kabillion games that, I don't know, just never knew existed, I suppose. Did you had them both when you were young, or no?
Yeah, I had everything. Oddly enough, I literally had every single port of all these games when I
wow.
grew up. Well, you see, the big thing for me, I suppose, is my brother, who's a lot older than me. He also really liked the Harry Potter series as well. So as a result, it kind of ended up in this sort of weird spiral that we ended up just getting all these different ports, and we played different versions all the time, and then, you know, it just kept rolling, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played them all in order, so
Okay,
I'm used to it.
Okay, so the purpose of the stream is to talk about these games, and we basically have a set... It's going to be a very free-form chat. We have like a few categories that we'll go through and talk about throughout the chat. Anyone... I keep saying the word. We're having a chat, and the chat that's in the stream, if you have any questions that you'd want to ask us, I'll try and keep a list of questions. I guess I'll do that. That's probably a good idea. And also, if you want to answer the questions that we ask as well, obviously feel free to, and one of us will try and, I guess, at some point, shout it out.
I was gonna say, actually, as I know that you want to do this in a bit of a free-form sort of thing, what we'll do, because I think it would be sensible to do this, is I'm sure the chat will make amazing comments, and they'll probably also want to add in various bits that we might miss out on.
Yes.
So what we'll do is, like, after certain points, we'll pause, take a look at the chat, and then bring up those points and answer any questions, etc. like that. That way,
you can scroll back through as well, can't you?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, well, in that case, let me move it over to this scene. Ooh, which is the same, but there's just clips of the game going at the same time. I will try and every now and then I'll skip through the clips if we're talking about something specific, and I feel like we're going to be there for a long time. But honestly, it's actually going to be a lot of hassle, so I might just leave it because it looks quite nice. So first of all, the games were produced. So the first 3 games all were on, I don't know how many different consoles, between 3 and 5, I think, right? Depending on which one. You have PC, PS1, PS2, PS2 era.
I think if you take out Prisoner, then it makes it a lot easier to actually say how many.
Let's ignore Prisoner of Azkaban.
So all the different versions. Let's see if I remember them all. So Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, PC, PS2, PS1, and I guess if you really want to count it, for Philosopher's Stone, I suppose I'm going to count it. Yeah, go on. Xbox and GameCube, and then Chamber had a different version, sort of, for. Like the PS2 variant was different on GameCube and Xbox, so do with that as you will.
They were different. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they are different. So the proper port is the PS2 one, obviously, but then you had Eurocom, I think it was Eurocom, could be wrong, who then made GameCube and Xbox, which is kind of the same, but it structured slightly differently. To an extent, it has better graphics and overall gets rid of all the free roam. Other than that, yeah, there you go.
R.I.P.
I think that's everything. I think that is literally all of them.
Okay, good. Wow, I don't have quite that level of knowledge.
That's the
So the PS1 games were both produced by Argonaut Games. Argonaut Games being the company that also made the Croc 1 and 2 games, both on PS1. They also made, I believe, the Super FX chip, which was on SNES, right? Yeah, on SNES. And I don't know if they developed Star Fox, but I think the Super FX chip was used in Star Fox to kind of bring 3D to the SNES. That's about I'm slightly too young for the SNES era, unfortunately.
Right. I think they helped with Star Fox.
Okay,
I could be wrong, but I think they were a helping studio involved with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
There you go.
so I've personally played the. Let me just bring up the list on here in case there's any other ones that I've miraculously played somehow. But I've played Croc 1 and Croc 2. Oh, they made the Emperor's New Groove. That's like the Spyro kind of clone, right? Oh, okay, so that was before that. Oh, they made a Bionicle game. Oh my god, they made the Bionicle game. Wow, okay, I forgot about this. I played that one. It's the like PS2 Bionicle game. That's amazing. Okay, well I'm gonna have to play that again at some point then. Okay, I think that's most of the games that I played by them. So they've produced a lot of games. Most of them were for earlier consoles. They kind of stopped around basically 2004 and then haven't really done much since then. Although they are remaking the first Croc, which was supposed to come out like for Christmas time, but it has been slightly delayed. I don't think there's a release date yet, but it will be coming out at some point. Yeah, so that's my experience with some of them. And actually, playing these ones again, you've played Croc 2, right? Do you remember like the loading screens? They feel kind of... I don't know if this is so obviously very niche specific thing, but the loading screens in this and in the Harry Potter games and Croc 2, in hindsight, feel very similar. They have like a blue, like it's on the screen literally right now, like a blue tinged thing.
Yeah, a basic loading screen, basically.
I guess. For me, it just feels the same. Maybe this is literally just me projecting, but anyway, I thought I should just mention it because I will never let it go otherwise.
I mean, out of those games that you've listed, obviously, I didn't even know they made Bionicle and Emperor's New Groove. That's news to me. But yes, I have played those. I played those. I played the 2 Croc games, obviously. Those I know very well. And also the 2 HP games by them for the PS1. There is a point I do want to bring up here because we're talking about Argonaut. So it's a very limited point that I can talk about, obviously. But basically, a lot of people believe that the exact same development team from Philosopher's Stone made Chamber of Secrets as well. That's not entirely true. So yes, some of the devs who made Philosopher's Stone did help with Chamber of Secrets, but quite a few of them left after Philosopher's Stone. So if you're wondering why they feel slightly different in places, in their like directions, kind of, we'll get into this later. That's why. That's the reason.
Well, very good insider knowledge. Cool. I guess let's start moving on to talking about the games themselves. So,
hell yeah.
So that the screen is like vibrating because of the stupid spell that Harry's doing. So this is the first game I've got on below here at the moment. What's your overall opinion of the first game? If you're able to give it.
Yeah. Okay. So Philosopher's Stone, I'd like it. I think it's a great game still. I think overall though, it's messy. That's the best way of putting it. It's a bit of a mess. Again, we'll go into that in more detail, but I feel like with this game at points it doesn't quite want to connect properly is the best wording I can give it. Okay. There are points where it feels like it knows quite where it wants to go and it's being quite calm, and then there's other points where it just goes, okay, let's just go in a completely different direction that's almost irrelevant, don't know why it's even here for the most part, and make it insanely difficult. So a good example of that is Diagon Alley. And if anyone's played this damn game, they will know, especially if they were a kid, that they were tortured by this absolute hellhole of a part of the game. I'm going to tell you right now, in my opinion, we're going to talk about this right now until we die at this point.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense from any perspective of the game. When you are playing a Quidditch match, you come out and then Hagrid goes, yeah, my dragon's sick, we're going off to Diagon Alley. It's like, okay. Then after that, he's just like, I've got no money. Oh, all right. And then goes for some freaking beer. So, don't know where he's got the money from. And then he forces you to get your money to go and pay for his problem by torturing you through what I can only describe as some of the worst game mechanics I've ever experienced as a kid. Man, it's just a weird part.
I'm going
of
to bring
game.
up the footage now because this is obviously.
Yeah, please do. It's
iconic.
actually important.
Okay, I can't remember which.
This is like so vitally important to this game.
Slips. Before we move on, Slippy Tiger just asked, "Is it the same studio as the PC games?" And the answer is no.
No. So this is Argonaut that did PS1 games. No Wonder did the PC games. The first 3 PC games, to be exact.
Yes. What else did No Wonder do? They did Shrek 2. I know that much. They also did Lemony Snicket.
They did Brother Bear, Shrek 2, basically a lot of kids' games.
I mean, yeah.
In a nutshell.
Okay, so I've got some footage below. I don't know exactly what Harry's doing.
Yeah, here we go. There you go. That'll do. Talking to the hag or whatever in Diagon
Alley. Yeah, I find it. I feel like they felt they had to put Diagon Alley in because it is very iconic. That's where Harry goes first, right? Before he goes to Hogwarts. So it's starting with is this the right way around? You start with this and then you go to the shops, right? Yes, because he has to get the money first.
Yeah, you go to the bank first, get your money, and then you go to the shops.
Yes. I guess you could steal stuff and then go to the bank, but that wouldn't make any sense.
Probably be very pointless, but sure.
I do wonder why they didn't put Diagon Alley at the beginning of the game. Maybe because I don't know, because they didn't want to have to deal with. I guess Hogwarts is the most iconic thing, right? So people obviously want to get straight into Hogwarts, but obviously it's just completely different than the story. Well, I guess, did they go to Diagon Alley with Hagrid in the film or the book? I actually don't remember, to be honest, but... Do they do it in the other games? No, because oh no, that's the second game, actually.
So. No, I don't think so, Philosopher's Stone, but it's been years since I read the book, so I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't in the movie, but yeah, I can't remember in the book.
Whenever I have a plot question, I just ask, and then someone in the chat usually knows, so they answer. But
the thing in the case of your point, why they didn't put it at the beginning, I think you've got to look at it like this, because every single Philosopher's Stone, I think for the most part, other than Game Boy Color, I think that's the only one, always started in Hogwarts. And if I was a game dev, I would do the same thing, because you've got to think of it like this. The most interesting part of Harry Potter, if you like, the bit that everyone wants to experience and look at, is Hogwarts, right? So you're taking a risk in some ways by not starting there and having to build up to get to it. Now, obviously that was explored in Chamber of Secrets, right? Where, of course, like the PS2 version, for example, you start off at the Burrow, then you go to Diagon Alley, then to Hogwarts. But by that point, I think that's sensible because we've already established Hogwarts properly and actually built a game beforehand. So I think that's the way you got to look at it. Did this need to exist though? This section?
Did it need to exist at all?
No.
I mean, no, I understand completely why they would want to put Diagon Alley in, because it is so important. I guess people, Harry goes and gets his wand, he gets his money for the first time, he gets Hedwig, so it makes sense that they'd want to put it in. And I guess they put the owls in. They put getting money in. The Gringotts is important because that's the whole point of where the Philosopher's Stone is kept, right? So otherwise they'd be like, well, I guess they could just say magic stone stolen from bank, and I guess people who are like 5 years old playing this game wouldn't know what any of those words mean anyway, so it would have been fine. But what else does he do? He gets the owl, the weird boxes, the peacock feather, of course. Oh, there's the peacock feather for his wand, or that's just anyway. The wand guy wants the feather, right?
The peacock feather is part of the ingredients, isn't it, for Norbert? Basically, all the things
they're all
ingredients for Norbert's like healing tonic,
or
something like that. But yeah, that peacock gives me nightmares. I hate that bloody thing.
That is honestly, I think, the worst. So the minecart thing, which is on the screen at the moment, is difficult. It is difficult, but it is quite fun. It would have been really difficult for kids to do. Yeah, I somehow got past it, but that bloody peacock feather, I remember that specifically being the hardest point in the game. But actually, this probably took more time, even now when I was doing it. But just, I don't know, I think because this is at least like interactive, whereas the peacock feather is literally just blindly chasing after this bird with the worst controls in the world. I don't know.
I mean...
Actually, I was going to say the gems in this section are very like the gems in Croc 2. Anyway, carry on.
That's a fair point, actually. Anyway, there you go. There's Croc 2 stuff we brought up all the time. Yeah, I don't know how you came up with fun for this bit. I do not find this bit fun.
To be honest, it is kind of just, it's a mix of like a memory game and, well, to be fair, I'd never actually mastered controlling the cart, so I can't say that worked, but
Right.
it felt like I could have, if I spent more time doing it, which I was not going to do because I don't hate myself, I probably could have got better at it. But it is difficult. It is really difficult. But it is, and somehow it is still a little bit fun. I don't know. But if you're welcome to disagree, obviously.
I do disagree. I do not find this section fun, personally. It's not even that it's really difficult or anything. It's just annoying. Honestly, that's all I find about this. It's just annoying. It doesn't need to be there, in my opinion. It's just kind of this bit that hinders the game. Now, obviously, you know, I have to look at it from a perspective of really young me who grew up with this, hated this, and usually was the reason why I never finished it. But, you know, when I'm older, of course, I can complete these sections very easily and I don't have much trouble. But the point is,
I still have struggle.
I have a bit, but not a lot. I mean, the thing, I guess, is you've got to look at it like this. If you're a person that wants to 100% complete this, then I feel sorry for you, first of all. But second of all, I've never done it. Because you have to get every single coin and gem in all three minecarts.
Oh, I didn't realize you had to get all of them. Is it actually?
Every single last one. You can't miss one. If you do, then you won't be able to get the secret wizard card and Quidditch game stuff at the end for doing 100%. And it's just a bit crap. There's no other way of putting it. No, I think when it comes to 100% perspective, this whole section just is actually torture. That's all it is. It's just torture.
How do the speedrunners go through it? Do they literally just have to learn?
I assume that speedrunners don't tend to do 100% runs on this. I don't know. I haven't honestly looked. So I'll be real with you. But yeah, I mean, it sucks the fact that you have to get every single coin and gem. And let me tell you, that is not an easy feat.
No.
Sometimes that can be absolutely horrendously difficult in places in this. Bear in mind that you also can't make a mistake, you know, of hitting one of the objects either.
Because you lose
the coins.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, John has said he's 100% of this before. It's agonizing.
Yes, I know he has. He told me. He's told me many times how proud he is of it, and I've said to him, "What's wrong with you?" That's about it.
I will say, I do quite like not the actual minecart bit, but the bit running around the bank is quite nostalgic for me, with the shiny, slippery floors and the sound effects. I don't know, it's just quite nice.
That stupid goblin that keeps polishing the floor for absolutely no reason whatsoever, yes.
So actually, this kind of leads on to... Well, one of the points I had written down was, what is your least favourite moment in the first game? I'm assuming it's basically the whole of Diagon Alley. You're allowed to have that as a point.
Okay. I wouldn't say the whole of it, because that's not true. I mean, there are parts of it I actually think are kind of fun. Like looking for the toad or whatever in the shop is kind of entertaining, especially if you piss off the shop owner. It's great fun. But yeah, I mean, I think the worst parts, there are two. There are definitely two. And that's the minecart section, easily. And that damn peacock.
Yeah, the peacock.
I think could be up there as one of the most
I'm going to skip ahead to
horrendously painful bits. Yeah, it's painful to do. Mainly because even like things such as the invisibility cloak that they allow you to use in that really doesn't help. It's just there to torment you more.
If anyone else in the chat also wants to list their least favourite moments in this game, please do. But I imagine everyone will have basically the same like bits. I've done it below, apparently. There you go.
Yeah. I would actually like to read some of the comments quick before we go further into it a little bit, because I saw we got a really intriguing bit about the minecart part breaking someone's brain sanity. which was from Random Anime Fanny. Interesting word to have to say.
Yeah.
But anyway, the minecart part broke me while doing 100% run, but because of my sanity, I left and played the game normally after that. Wise. Very wise. Oh, man. Yeah, John, of course, doing 100%, agonizing even. Yep, that's pretty true.
Oh, I've just seen your comment, John. I haven't had a chance to watch the video yet, sorry. But anyway, sorry, carry on.
Hate the troll run part.
Oh, I was going to say that's quite
actual
difficult.
troll.
When does it, troll run? The bit where you're running towards the camera, like Crash Bandicoot style.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
I personally didn't have much trouble with that, but sure, there you go. Maybe I'm just used to it because I play so much Crash Bandicoot in my life. But I've never found that to be a bit. I think actually, to be honest,
I think it's just like memorizing. It's just memorizing where stuff is, and sometimes it's a bit like difficult, I guess.
I think when we get to talking about the differences between the two games, because there's obviously another section like that in Chamber with the card carrying Cupid.
Yes.
That I think is worse because of what they actually shoot at you there and how that stuns you and actually is really annoying. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Another section actually I will add. It's not god awful, but it's still annoying. I find it annoying in all the games, to be fair. Is the chess bit.
You don't like the chess bit?
Well, there's like what 4 different boards you have to do in the PS1 version.
And if you die, then you have to start all over again.
Well, I remember when I was a kid and I did that. You know, I was sitting there going, "Oh yes, I've done it." After doing one board, it's like there's another board, and then you do that, and they go, "Are you taking the piss? There's another board." But yeah, if you die, then of course it's reasonable that you redo that chessboard you're at. But if you completely die, you have to redo every goddamn chessboard. It's just evil. Yeah. And it's not even chess, by the way. It's random. Not. It makes no sense. You just know the order and hope for the best.
Yeah. I mean, when I was replaying them, I did still kind of find it a little bit fun because it was like, it's not like a completely mindless game, but it's also not as like confusing as chess. So it feels like a good like interpretation of chess that's like maybe more for kids, I guess. That would be my like suggestion of why it's there. But weird to put that after all of this section, which is completely impossible for children. Like, how on earth did I get past this when I was young? I've got no idea. I guess I got my dad to help me or something.
That's cheating.
Yeah.
Got to do it yourself.
I'm trying to think what other moments I don't like in this game. My least favourite is probably the minecart and the peacock. The troll chase was difficult, but it was alright. I didn't really enjoy the troll throwing bits at you. I always find that really difficult to like aim to try and hit the bits.
Mean the
when the trolls, throwing like pipes and toilet cisterns and everything at Hermione. I've always found that quite difficult to hit back because I don't know. I feel like 1, it's a bit slow, and 2, I'm not so good at like first-person stuff on a controller anyway compared to a mouse.
I think there's one thing I'll say actually with that is there's a huge delay in your movements.
Yeah,
you know, compared to what you would expect.
Was
it
always like that? Because sometimes I struggle to know if it's like just because I'm emulating it and it's like a Bluetooth controller, or if it was just always slow.
No, it was always slow. But yeah, it feels annoying when you've got a troll throwing things at a much faster pace than you can move your cursor.
Drew says Peeves Chase. Yeah, the Peeves Chase was difficult as well.
Oh, the attic. Yeah, the attic. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I forgot about that, considering I like Peeves so much.
There's so much in this game that I've just like I only just played it the other month as well. There's so much that I've just like forgotten.
There's no excuse for you to forget it.
I know. Well, I just played the second one, and that like has enough other weird stuff in it to balance out everything. I don't think any other least favorite moments. I did find the this is more just difficult moments at this point, but the chasing after the key on the broom, I found that it was basically if you didn't get it through like the first hoop on your first, like if you don't go through the first hoop or the first few hoops, it's really difficult to catch up because the other ones just start attacking you. That's what I vaguely remember happening.
I thought even if they attack you, they bump you forward.
Oh, I think it was because I'd also started that level on like minimum health, so I had like a very slim chance of actually like finishing it properly.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I can't really remember how that affects you really in that, mainly because I tend to not
Oh god, this
things.
was the bloody, not Venomous Tentacular, the other one, Devil's Snare.
Oh, you mean the giant boss
tentacles.
Devil's Snare? Yeah.
Yeah, that was okay. Where's the keys? Oh, the knight. Okay, we'll get onto that. Oh, there's the chest. Was it this one had the potion one as well, right? The switching one. Chaos.
Yes,
Absolute
it's got the
chaos.
bells that you have to follow and things like that. Yes.
Oh, I think I just skipped to that, but it does happen really quickly from what I remember. I haven't quite got.
Yeah, here it is. So that's the bit where you... Oh, there it is. My devil
troll. Oh, that's it. Anyway, I can't really zoom in to the tracking bar to get a better tracking.
That's all right. You just put on a bit of chess.
A bit of chess.
A bit of low poly chess just to insult me.
Okay, let's move on from least favorite moments because I think we've gone through.
Well, we're
unless you have
do
any
that
more,
for the second.
We are
game,
going to be doing
though,
that for the second
we?
one. Well, how about we go through all the bits for the first one like this, then we go through the second one, and then we can do the comparison between the two.
If we're gonna talk about least favorite moments, are we gonna bring in things like? Because I actually don't know. By the way, this is how organised this fully is. I don't know if we're gonna bring up like least favorite design choices for secrets and stuff like that.
Oh, we can do. Yep. I was going to say, obviously, we can talk about the graphics and that as well. But you have least favorite secrets.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one to bring up this point. I don't know if you looked for many of the secrets when you played these games or not.
The secrets as in like the secret bookshelves, or you mean more than that?
Stuff like that. But there's more to it than that, so it's like getting all the beans in order to obtain things, etc.
Oh yeah,
I'll just go for it.
Please go.
I'll go for it. All right, so yeah, the secret bookshelves. I think it's a neat idea, if not a bit bloody obvious half the time, because they're kind of right in your face. But it's more the fact that I think some of them are just the exact same thing, pretty much, that you just did, because they're basically mini games, right? Once you go into
like in the second game, with you go into a room and then all of a sudden you're playing football or whatever.
Yeah, but this is much worse, in my opinion, in the first game a lot of the time. So, like in the dungeons,
the potions bit and all of that, with you push the cauldrons, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
nearly headless Nick.
That's what I was just about to bring up. So yeah, in the dungeons, there's like, I think 3 different bookshelves that are just the same bloody mini game, and all I remember hearing is bloody Nick going, "Oh, hello, Harry. I've got a bit of fun for you." Like, it's not fun. Get lost.
When was the was it after the Diagon Alley or was it before?
No, it's before that.
Oh wait,
it's
the shot I just had on the screen. I'm not going to be able to get this shot here. The way that they're standing, it's like an action movie poster or something. It's so funny. Anyway, I just thought that was.
Yeah, no, I think that those sort of things are a bit annoying with the secrets, just because they get a bit repetitive and just dull.
Yeah.
But then the other things as well, which I think are not a good design choice in some ways, but. And I guess if you're playing properly and you care about secrets, you'll probably not run into this problem. I don't, but I can see people who could. And that's beans that you have to collect a certain amount of to be able to go behind those portraits, the secret portraits, to get the secrets.
Yes, because the first game was 4 different coloured beans, and there's kind of like 4 areas.
There's 4 portraits in the different main areas, basically, that you go behind. The thing is, in some cases, I think it's the red beans from memory. I think
the
it's
last
red
one. Or the first one.
The last one. I think it's just the red ones, but I can't fully remember. It's been a little while. You can actually miss them. You know, there is a way to not get enough by doing this. And if you don't get enough, there's no way to go back and get them again. The only way you could do that is effectively replay the game. My other problem with this is that the most useful, to be honest, secret is the extra powerful Flipendo. That's great and I think it is awesome. The problem with it is by the time you actually get it, you're at the very end of the game.
Yeah.
You're going into the Forbidden Corridor, and there's pretty much no point in it anymore. And I question that design decision a lot because it's silly. It's strange. It's like the most awesome reward that could help you and be interesting throughout other parts of the game. You don't ever get to use until literally the end when you can't explore anymore.
What were the other 3 again? One of them was probably like the Nimbus, whatever.
So there's the Nimbus 2001. There's a wizard card. I think the other one was a wizard card. I can't remember. And then the other one was the more powerful Flipendo.
Yeah, it would have made. I mean, I kind of get what they put at the end because it feels like getting the big powerful spell to kill the final boss or whatever. But like, obviously, yeah, you just barely get to use it, so it feels like a complete mistake.
Yeah.
This is me struggling with the
right.
stupid cauldron thing at the bottom there.
Yeah, sorry, that's right. John just brought it up as well. I thought it wasn't just the red beans. Yeah, it happens with the green ones as well. He's right, yeah. You can miss them, and then that's it. You're stuffed. Which is
it
bad.
If you don't get them from the secret bits, then you won't necessarily have enough?
It's from like specific levels that you can't ever return back to, basically. So,
Speaking of,
like for example, the
the
troll
worst
run
bits in the game when the doors just lock behind you.
But like the troll run, for example, where there are red beans, you can miss some of those, right? And then that's it, practically. You can find them in other places, of course, sure. But if you weren't collecting them religiously, then you're going to miss them, and you'll probably fail. So yes, there are unfortunate that. Oh yeah, it's the Seeker Clubs, isn't it? It's not a wizard card, it's a Seeker Club.
Gloves.
So yeah, it's wizard cards, Seeker Clubs, Nimbus 2001, and then the super powerful Flipendo. So yeah, there you go. Well, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
Quite what you like, but yeah.
Harry doing his massive like Olympic jumps here that jump doesn't feel like he should have made it, and yet he survives.
You want to talk about Harry's jump, do you?
Absolutely disproportionate to. He can jump probably more than like 1.5 times his height, potentially more. I can't remember exactly, but. It's obscene. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
He's got some proper jumping skills. You think Crash Bandicoot can do his double jump and go a long way?
Yeah.
This is on another scale, my friend. But yeah. Harry definitely has one hell of a jump in these games.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's so just like, what on earth is going on?
Anyway, that's what I was going to say regarding bad points with secrets for the Philosopher's Stone anyway. Unless you got anything else to add regarding that, then I will bring up more bad points probably later on. But yeah, go on.
No, we should probably move on from bad points. One thing I was going to say was it's not related to bad points, but it's to do with interesting that. So the first game, the developers probably didn't get access to much footage or images or anything about the film. Obviously, they had the books, and I believe they would have had a small bit of input from, J.K. Rowling or the publishers about certain spells, characters, etc. But I find it interesting. Well, obviously, they've all got slightly different styles of like architecture. So, like this one has random like Irish, Celtic swoopy bits in. But I find interesting that this game. The chess is like the same as in the PC game, and some of the other bits like that are the same. Do you know what I mean? Like the chess game is pretty identical, and I'm assuming that's not a coincidence, right? I'm assuming EA or someone was like, "You need to put chess in, maybe do it like this or something like that." I was wondering if you had any insight.
Well, I know that I don't know about every dev team regarding this, but I know some of them did this anyway. Some of them got photos from the set of the movie, but what they did in order to try and keep it a secret still is they basically, and I can't believe they actually did this, they took photos of the set while moving the camera, so it was a blurry photo effectively, and handed that to the game devs and went, "Here you go, here's something from the set, should help you." And I can imagine just being a dev seeing that and
like,
just going,
great, it's a blurry castle. Wow.
Here's the board, guys. Let's take a look at what we got. Work with it. But yeah, I mean, like the GBA game, for example, for Philosopher's Stone, that actually, oddly enough, was a small part of Gnome Wonder's team, basically working on that. So if you play that, I know you haven't played it yet, but if you ever play it, you'll notice that everything in it practically has a similarity to the PC game. So like the movements of the casting of the spells, you know, where he goes like this.
Yeah.
Then there's like the actual models are the PC models just made into GBA and stuff like that. So, you know, there was a lot of sharing between things for the different ports, and the same with like the actual dev teams, etc. So,
Okay.
yeah, I think like each dev team, of course, had their own different desires for what they wanted to do, if you like, for their games, but then each one also had to do something very specifically the same to the other.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah,
Well, actually, because the wizard cards are the same artwork, right?
they are, yes.
And
across
the
the board.
music is, if not exactly the same, there's definitely some similar tunes and some of the same.
Mostly
pieces.
the same, but there
Yeah.
are unique bits, of course. Yes.
Actually, one of my least favorite things about this game is the lack of music. There's barely any music in this game. It's every now and then there's a little, like, I don't know what the right word is. I don't know music, but like, you know, music theory or whatever. But I can't remember what it's called. But you know, it's like a 10-second piece and then it's kind of done. But anyway, we could talk about more music when we get onto the second game, because obviously there's more in it there.
Yeah, it's more ambience is what they went for in the first game, and actually, I'm not against that. To be fair,
that is
having
fair
music,
enough. Yeah,
because they created a lot of effort and time into like the sounds. So of course, you might notice at the beginning you hear the ghosts, you know, coming through, going like, "Oh."
I was going to say actually, when we move on to favorite moments / environment / memories from the first game, that moment is when you leave one of the classes. You've got, I think it was maybe flying class or the one after that. You leave the corridor, or you go into the corridor. The ghost comes past, does the like, oh. Then you've got like a bell going off in the distance, and there's like probably like kids in another classroom chattering away. It's just so evocative. So actually, the one thing they did really well is the environmental sound. Actually, sorry, Binks the Links just asks, who is our guest today? This is Joker Alex. Joker Alex has also a lot of experience with the Harry Potter games. More than me, I would say. And we're just here to chat about stuff. Sorry, the key having the troll's face on it is absolutely hilarious. So funny. Yeah, maybe let's move on to favorite moments or favorite bits or favorite things about this game.
There you go. There's a favorite moment right there.
Even the picture there, so good.
Masterpiece of a face. Oh god, I'll never forget that door when you actually go to the door itself, and all you see while you're jumping there is just this absolute abomination of a troll face on the door.
Or the one coming up there.
Like when you go out of here and then you jump on those platforms. Look, let it play and you'll see what I mean. But like when you climb up here and you go up, ignore the key. The key is hilarious, but wait till you see the door. The door is just on point in this. It's horrifying. Look at this. This thing is the most horrifying looking door you will ever give a child to look at while they play this game. I mean, look at the state of that.
It's very like Wallace and Gromit, right?
Just look at it. It's awful. Really awful. Anyway, no, it's not a favourite part, but it's an amusing part.
Yes.
I'll let you go first this time when it comes to favourite parts. Go on.
Okay, well, that particular moment with the ambience in the corridor is definitely up there. I'm trying to think, what are the... all I can think of is things that I don't like. I was about to say the timer bits getting to class are not great.
I thought you'd say, yeah, I love that bit.
I know. Although, it's weirdly enough, with the trolls throwing the... what kind of mushrooms are they here? Are they Horklump ones again, or are they something else? I can't remember.
No, they're some sort of flowery one. I
Puffer
don't think
pods
they
or
even
something.
give you a name, do you?
Oh, I remembered one of my favourite things. In the first... It would have been the first stream.
Oh, they're puffer pods, yeah, that's right.
Yes. I was going to say... Let's skip ahead, because I need to get to them. Flying is not one of my favourite things in this game. Not these particular ones. Everyone says how scary the suits of armour are, which is true, but I do kind of like them anyway. I don't know, like, they do kind of fit very well within the... Obviously, it doesn't really make sense that they're trying to kill, the students of Hogwarts, but ignoring that, they are quite fun. Like, the ones that run, and then, like, they knock their helmets off, but then they're still running around. I think they're quite nice,
Yeah, I mean... To be fair, they fit in well with the actual environment. So yeah, they make funky noises as well.
Yes, they do.
So why not?
Yeah.
I think to be fair though, the ones that move, they have like not the normal ones, but the ones that carry the shields. And this is the same problem, by the way, in the second game. I think they're really bloody annoying because you have to wait for them to get really close to you, swing at you,
and
then do this. Yeah, look at me, and then get basically attacked by Fapendo. It's just so annoying. It slows it down, and I hate it. Anyway, carry on.
Things that we like.
Yes.
So you're actually probably the stream you're watching is slightly behind what I've got on screen, but you should hopefully see soon. I think they're called puff skeins.
Those things. Yeah.
Absolutely love them. They are just ridiculous. The noises that they make are so cute. The way they eat the plants and like produce beans, I think is fantastic. Like what a great idea that is. And like the way you need to like feed them up a bit to fit into the certain vents, and then some of them I think you need to like hit them back down again if they've got too big to fit in the vent. I just think they're a nice little element to add to the game.
Yeah, you can make them extra fat.
They're just really fun. They're just, I don't know, they're just with the squeaky noises they make. I can't really play any on here right now because this hasn't got any audio on it, it's just the thing, but they kind of make a kind of sound.
Yeah. No, I like them. They're actually quite neat. They're both times you see them in the games, right? They're always good fun.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I think they're a decent addition, and they're unique as well to the PS1 games, so that's quite nice.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, Oberon just says another thing that I was going to mention that I really like is the like glowing butterfly things that squeak and giggle in certain areas. Actually, there's one moment. I won't try and find it because it's really difficult to find, but there's a secret where you go outside and there's the nice covered little structure, I don't really know what you'd call it, with some glass at the top, and then in the middle of them there's just these little butterflies.
Oh, the like, gazebo
kind of thing, yeah. And they're kind of like and they're just like giggling away. I don't know what they are, why they're there, but they're just such a nice little environmental thing.
They're butterflies with faces on them. That's actually what
like a troll key. Everything has faces on it in this game.
They do have a proper name. I think from my memory they're called.
Oh, John just said Glitter by Moths. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Bang on timing. Yes.
I actually never knew what they were called. I'm gonna write that down now before I forget.
All right.
Glitter by Moths. I don't know if there's any lore about them, but.
I think a favourite part for me with this game, actually, specifically this one in particular, is some of the lines are just absolutely hilarious. Some of these voice lines are just outrageously over the top sometimes. Like this bit here, actually, where you talk to Hagrid, he's just like, go and get me the fire seeds. And then you walk a little bit down that little pathway there and you just get Neville going, out of my way, Harry. It just comes out of nowhere, desperate for help. And Harry just doesn't say a word because Harry barely speaks in this game, ignores Neville completely. And it's just like, yeah, whatever.
I do really like the whole of the outside in this game, actually. The colours are really nice.
I prefer the outside, actually, in Philosopher's Stone to Chamber of Secrets. I think it's a lot better. I think the design overall is just a lot more appealing to the eye, first of all, but also clever. It hides secrets better, in my opinion, whereas the second one, which we'll get to, is quite the opposite.
Okay, yeah. Hello, Roberto. How are you doing? We're doing pretty well, thank you. Oh, here's coming up. It'll come up on yours in a sec. One of the mini games.
Oh God, it's the bouncing bulbs.
Yeah, which I don't think I'd ever played before. I don't think I remember this from the last time I played, or from when I was young. Actually, somehow.
Yes.
But yeah.
What an experience. It looks like a bouncing jellyfish. I mean, look at it. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's hard actually to think of many like really awesome moments that I truly love about the first game, surprisingly.
No, I know what you mean. There's a lot of nice things about it.
I have quite a few in the second one.
Yeah.
think, to be fair, the Peeves sections that you get in this, I kind of like. I actually quite like the rafter bit that you were going on about earlier you didn't like. I think it's kind of fun. Even though I did forget about it until you mentioned it, but remembering it now, it is actually quite fun. I think it's a neat idea. The other part that I kind of liked, I guess, to an extent, although I know most people would hate it, is the Filch sneak section, where you have to get the invisibility cloak.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed them. I prefer the ones in the PC version. I'm not sure, actually. I can't really remember them well enough to, like, put them apart from each other, but I think I
definitely prefer the PC one, but
okay,
know, the PS1 one's not awful in my view, but the PC one's just hilarious. Some of those noises.
What else happens in this game? Nothing happens in this game.
I love it. He can't remember anything from it, and he's literally streamed it a month ago.
Well, it's because the second one's just like overwritten everything. I'm like trying to remember what was in this particular one.
Oh, that's brilliant.
This one, you go back into the forest as well at night. Is that right?
Yeah, you go into the forest at night. Yep.
Yeah. Maybe we should
basic.
Just... Yeah. The chase bit where you chase Malfoy. God, it's struggling to like remember as well the difference between this one and the PC one, because they all have like the same moments.
Are you sure it's not just because you prefer the PC game?
No comment.
You can admit it.
I'm just going to skip around the video a bit to just see if there's anything else. The flying is difficult, but that doesn't necessarily mean I don't like it. It just probably was way too difficult when I was young. Maybe should we move on to the second game? Because then once we've talked through some of those moments in the second game, we'll have the opportunity to talk about the differences between them a bit more. But anyway, I guess we should look at
there is one comment that's just I've seen that is absolutely fantastic. PS1 Hagrid would make an amazing oversized stuffed toy.
That would actually be great. Oh yes, we didn't talk about PS1 Hagrid. This game introduced the absolute icon and legend that is PS1 Hagrid, who somehow I feel like gets more iconic every year rather than forgotten about. It's really strange.
More iconic.
Like I feel like every now and then he still just like pops up somewhere on the internet.
Oh yeah, I mean he's always around.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of him. He'll be there at some sort of stage in your life. He'll probably be in A&E, and then all of a sudden you'll just see a little paper of Hagrid going past your bed. Yeah,
I do find it interesting that he's specifically what people remember about the old Harry Potter games is Flipendo and PS1 Hagrid. That seems to be the like two things people remember the most. It's just so funny.
Can you be surprised though? I mean, look at the state of the man.
That's true.
Look at him. But he also made it into that new Quidditch game, Quidditch Champions.
Yes, he did, right? Yes, that's probably why I was thinking that it's like still going.
Face mask.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Anyway, let's move on before I get too addicted to PS1.
I was going to say quickly. One thing in the first game, the fire seeds. That whole sequence where you go after fire seeds is pretty good, and especially there's the random bit of lava. Why it's there, we don't need to know, but it is there. It's just quite like visually, it's great. I still don't know why. There's a volcano. I know we're in Scotland and there's mountains, but I wouldn't go quite. Wouldn't have thought they were active.
Very active. Very active these days.
So let's skip ahead to... Is this where I started playing? No, it's the next one.
You wonder why in the Deathly Hallows then they didn't just lead all the Death Eaters and that into the volcano.
Into the volcano,
That's all they had to do, is like, get them in.
I think people were already drawing enough comparisons between Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter for them to put, Mount Doom in again, but... Okay, let's move on to the second game. So I just finished playing the second game. So I also played it a year ago, which was the first time I played it, and I remember playing it thinking this is basically like the first one but a lot better. That was my initial opinion. Second time playing it, I still think that, but I think it's probably not as much of a jump as I first maybe thought it was. Although lots of it does have a big jump. But anyway, I do think the second one is pretty good. I would say the main difference is that there's a lot of like mini games instead, which actually, now you mention that the dev team's changed over, kind of makes sense. But I would say it still plays pretty much exactly the same. The character models are very much the same. The music is, if not exactly the same. Well, it's the same. Obviously, it's all done kind of by Jeremy Soule and a few other composers. But yeah. When's the last time you played this one?
Chamber PS1. When did I last play this? Probably. Well, it would have been when I last streamed it. I did actually try to stream it recently because I was going to remind myself of this in a stream playing it, but DuckStation wouldn't let me use my controller, so I gave up. But anyway, yeah, probably like 2 years ago now, I'm going to say. I think was when I last played Chamber. I remember it very fondly, to be fair, but yes, about 2 years ago.
Yeah, and your overall memories are good then, I'm assuming. You...
I would say they're a lot better on this than they are on Philosopher's Stone. There's nothing in this game in particular where I actually hate my life and don't want to do it anymore. Like the first game has at points.
Yes.
Now,
yeah.
I think that this was, in my personal opinion, again, having grown up with both of these games as well, and it's slightly similar in some regards with the PS1 like it was with PC with Philosopher and Chamber. The only difference is this one was not nearly as big of a leap as the PC version was for Philosopher and Chamber.
Yes,
it still was a leap in the right direction because they took away, in all fairness to them, all the bad, basically, of Philosopher's Stone and just put in all the good from that, and then effectively put a few extra little bits here and there just to make it a bit better. I mean, one of the big things I would argue with this game that is vastly superior to the first game is if you missed any secrets or anything like that, you can just go and, free roam around the whole school if you want. Yeah. You could also look at Colin Creevy's book for specific card challenges that you can't normally get to anymore, like certain levels, and you could redo those. Whereas in the first game, and I despise this about the first game, you get to the end, and if you've missed anything, that's it. Yeah. You can't free roam again either at the end of that game. You're just trapped in your common room forevermore. There's a big difference in quality. It's like they actually listened to all the complaints actually of the first game and really acted on that. So I give them credit, actually, the dev team that came in and took over Chamber. They really did try.
Yeah, they did. Interesting. So this game starts in the Burrow. Yep. Where does the... I know the PC one obviously starts by the Whomping Willow. Where does the PS2 one start again? I don't remember. Is it by the Burrow? It is, isn't it?
Starts at the Burrow, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good that
all of them start at the Burrow,
except...
other than GBA, which is Diagon Alley, and PC, which basically is the Whomping Willow.
Yeah. I think you're right that it makes a lot of sense that the first one should start in Hogwarts, but by this point, it's pretty much fine to start it here. I'm trying to remember what it was like as a tutorial. I think it was pretty good. A bit less dragged out than the first one. Although this random poltergeist box thing is like a sign of like what's to come in the rest of the game.
Poltergeist? That's not a poltergeist. That's a ghoul.
Oh god, I'm so sorry, everyone.
Cancel him immediately. Yeah, it's a ghoul.
Yeah, my overall thoughts on this game is that it was good. I remember it being, quite funny. I think it helps that Lockhart is in this game. And Lockhart is such an incredible character in this particular game. He's obviously really good in the other ones, but in this one, it's just that line about, watch my, very expensive wand as it moves around the screen. It's just, like, so brilliant.
He says that in PC one.
I don't know if he does. He just says, watch my wand. I don't think he says expensive wand.
I'm sure he says expensive, but I can't remember now.
I think
You're confusing me.
I think he doesn't because I played that one to death and I found it really funny in this, so I think he probably didn't play it. Sorry, didn't say that, but anyway, he's really good. Snape is obviously excellent as usual. All the characters are just pretty funny in this one, from what I remember. I guess we might as well start with just going through our favorite moments from this game, since we're already talking so positively about it.
Perfection. Yes, when Lockhart goes, perfection. Yes.
So good.
Favorite moments from this game. Cool.
It's almost like the other way around. There's like too many to list. My particular. I'll start off with my favorite moment in the game. I don't know where it would have been on my streams. I don't know if it's worth trying to find actually, because it's not for that long. But there's a moment where you, similarly in the first game, where one of my favorite moments was like a really quiet, serene, environmentally kind of. I'm just getting some other music up. Serene kind of moment in the castle. This one I liked when you go. There's a moment on the rooftop, and you find there's like a flagpole with the Hogwarts flag. There's the like sunset skybox, and you can see bits of the castle. That moment is like, again, it's another excellent little calm moment. And someone said, I can't remember who anymore. Someone said that it reminded them of like a Spyro level, and I completely understand what they mean. I can try and find it, but
yes, the secret area. I know.
Yeah.
Which one you mean.
I don't know where it was.
It's a weird sort of secret area because it's quite different to all the others. But there's another one of those secret areas that's just so weird. If you ever went in it, you go in there, you basically go into another room, you hear a massive strike of lightning out of nowhere. Then you get the collectible, and on your way out, you see Peeves just appear. While you're leaving, so it makes you wonder if Peeves was basically trying to trick you while you're in there, sort of like scare you a little bit.
Okay.
Probably that was the idea. I'm not sure how I could call that execution working out. But yes, I think one of my favourite parts of this game is definitely the Death Day bit.
Yes,
the whole sequence I actually think was pretty good. Not just because of Peeves obviously being there, but in general it was just kind of a nice segment to have. You got to bear in mind when you play all these different versions of this game, when you have one that actually does something slightly really quite different and unique that was actually in the book, it's quite cool to see it, because it was cut out of, well, I think every other version other than Game Boy Color was the only other one I think that featured it, but yeah, it's nice to see it. I thought it was a really neat idea. Also, the dungeon reskin. Oh man, that's nice. That was a much better look.
It's more blue,
it actually looked like
dark.
A dungeon.
Yeah,
it's a dark grey, bluey sort of colour, and it actually feels like a creepy dungeon. Whereas in the first game, I feel like I'm in some sort of Egyptian temple.
Yeah, it's so like red and orange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. No, because I remember the dungeon in this one feeling a lot more like it's almost like Tim Burton-esque, where it's like, yeah, kind of more traditionally horror and spooky rather than like, I don't know, some like weird terracotta. It's very strange. But actually, one of my other favorite moments in this game, it's probably on the screen for you by now as well, is when you load into Diagon Alley and it's snowing, which is an amazing touch, and then it's got the like classic pause menu music from the PC game of the second one, and again, I think it's playing in Diagon Alley in the PS2 game as well. That moment's really good.
Yes, because the theme tune that you're referring to from the pause screen of Chamber is actually the Diagon Alley theme tune.
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
Actually, someone got there's like a CD that EA released. Called like Magical Adventures or something. It's basically like one of their, maybe not, I wouldn't go as far as to say stock music CDs, because it's only music for the Harry Potter games, but the track is called something like Trains Leaving, which is quite nice. Right. Very poetic. I don't know. Yeah, but it's basically the Diagon Alley theme tune, which is funny. Yeah, what other moments in this game do I'm trying to remember?
Trying to think of all the unique ones. I'll be honest, even though I'm looking at it more from a humour perspective, I guess.
No, please.
Because I always find it hilarious. Is the actual part with Goyle chasing another Slytherin student to the common room. It's just the whole of that section to me is hilarious because the voice acting, I'm gonna be semi-nice about it. They sort of tried, but it's dreadful.
Yeah.
There's just the fact that in every other version you never hear Ron as Crab. And my God, does he sound good in this? It's just the fact that he stands there and goes, "Look, there's the Slytherin right there, after him." It just falls flat on his face. It completely falls flat on his face.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, just appears out of nowhere.
Oh,
and then when you get
genius.
back to the bathroom with Myrtle, where she starts throwing objects at you, you just got him again in the corner going, "She's gone mental." It's just so funny. The voice acting is fabulous in that section.
Yeah, this game's really funny, actually. I remember there being so many funny moments. Oh, I thought of something else, but what was it? I think maybe it was actually, the bit where he falls over. Oh god, the bit where you're chasing Ron with throwing up all the slugs.
No.
Bloody hell. What
Yeah.
That feels very I think I probably said it when I played it. That almost feels very like Shrek 2 PC game as well. That kind of, I don't know, it's just gross humour. Because obviously he throws up all the slugs in the book and the film, but in the game it's particularly... actually, I'm just going to pause the video. It'll pause for you in a bit. Another moment, well, not really moment, but one bit that I really liked was this one particular, I guess fresco on the wall, which is based off a tapestry. There's a woman and a unicorn, and it's very red, and kind of classic medieval tapestry style. And I just remember that was it was just wow, that's actually amazing. I mean,
it's based off a real picture, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, someone found a link to it a couple of streams ago, and so they've redesigned, they've drawn it essentially from
that
a real, but obviously medieval tapestry. So the copyright
their own inspiration, basically.
Yeah, I do like the way they put the devs' pictures on the pictures of all of the portraits. Are you trying to get your camera to refocus?
Yes. I hate Discord so much. It always just likes to be so annoying with this. But, whatever. It will do its thing in a bit. Whatever. I'll move a lot and then it will eventually figure it out. Anyway. Yeah, I think, to be fair, there's lots of sections in this game that are similar to the first one. There's a lot of secrets that are the same as the first one to an extent. There's a lot of general mini games that are identical. Even some of the actual spell ideas and things, of course, are pretty much the same, just with a slight change to them. So, for example, we didn't mention it with the first game, but it needs to be mentioned because it's iconic. Verdimillious, right? So Verdimillious is effectively back again, if you like, but it's Verdimillious Duo, I think it's called. I think that's right. Or unless I'm thinking Lumos.
It is called that, yeah. But he doesn't say that, he just says Verdimillious.
No, he just says Verdimillious. I mean, that would be stupid if he said Duo. But, I mean, the difference, I think, from my memory of it, the difference is that the Duo version allows you to get all sorts of things like bridges and walls to then sort of disappear, so you can go through them or interact with them. Whereas in the first game, it was just platforms, and that was it. So, they've taken a spell, if you like, from the original game and gone, let's use it again, but let's try and make it semi-unique. And by the way, PS1 is not the only culprit for this. PS2 is far worse for this because they don't even change it most of the time. But I mean, it's interesting to look at it from that perspective. Actually, another good example of that is Incendio. Incendio in the first game is shit.
It's for only for the it's for the casings of it's just I don't think it. I quite like it, as in the little task where that thing gets faster. I think that's kind of fun.
I'm still going to say what I said before. Shit. I preferred the second game's version where it just gets on with it.
What, where you kill little enemies?
Yeah. I mean, the difference, though, is for me, a spell, like I look at it from any game really of the HPs. For a spell, once I've learnt it, I should then just be able to use it and get on with it. I shouldn't then have to go through another mini game effectively on top of that to get to use the spell. You know, it's the sort of thing where you've been given a mini game already to learn something, to then say, right, here's another mini game that you're gonna have to repeat multiple times just to be able to cast that spell. You know, it's kind of just milking it a bit.
I can respect that opinion. Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's like a mini game. I think it's short enough that they can get away with doing it, if you know what I mean. But that's understandable.
Go on, I'll accept it.
So if we don't have to agree on everything.
Oh, we're not going to. That's obvious.
Trying to think what other bits in this game. I do. Well, it's more of a comparison at that point, so maybe we should move on before we start talking about differences. Quickly talk about things we don't like in this game. I'm struggling to think of anything that I really didn't like more than in the first game. Anyway, go on. If you might as well start then.
And it's kind of sad to say it because it's really good in everything else, and that's the gnome throwing.
Oh yeah, it's not good, is it?
I don't like it.
It's not.
The reason I don't like it though is because it's just poorly made at the end of the day. It's the fact that it's the same problem with the troll, you know, which we mentioned earlier, where you move your cursor. It's the fact that when he's spinning around with it, when you hit what you think is going to be the exact angle to shoot it, it's always got this huge delay.
Yeah.
So then it's actually way after. So what you have to do is hit that button well before it gets to the point where you want it to be at, and it's annoying as hell.
I agree, 100%.
And also, there's a lot of invisible barriers in some of these places.
Yes.
Right? So, like for example, there's a tree in one of these ponds or something, and you try to get it past that tree to hit. I think it's like some giant ball or something in the background, and it should. Realistically, that gnome should be going straight at it and there should be no problems. And there's some stupid invisible barrier by the tree that it just whacks every time. Yeah. So then you have to deliberately move it to the left, which is a pain in the arse because it has to be exact. And I hate it. I can't stand that minigame, actually. I think that's definitely one of the biggest letdowns of this whole game.
No, I agree. I agree.
Of the gnome throwing.
And like sometimes you think you're going to hit something and he just like goes past it. And it's like, where's the consistency? Actually, not to go back to the positives of this game, but the particular scene that's playing now where Harry's outside, I thought this was really beautiful. And the music playing in the background, I remember being really nice. And then with the little Lumos ones lighting up stuff below.
Yes, the sneak section to get to the Forbidden Forest.
Yeah, just this very particular bit visually is really good. But no, I agree, that minigame is not good. I thought most of the other mini games were mostly okay. The dueling, I remember the first time I played it a year ago, I enjoyed it more than I did this time. This time I didn't enjoy it as much, but it was still okay. Other repeating mini games. I guess there's bits where you throw stuff, but that's kind of the same as all the other ones.
There's a big thing in regards to the mini games in this, which I don't hate. These ones, I don't think they're as bad as like the troll one, I guess, in Philosopher's Stone. But there's a lot of those spellcasting mini games in this that do repeat themselves. I mean, just off the top of my head, I can think of 3 right away, and that's Peeves at the Death Day party, Myrtle in the bathroom after talking to Malfoy, and then the pixies that you have to attack.
Oh yes,
in Diagon Alley, where Malfoy for some reason assaults a shopkeeper. Yeah,
you mean the games where like either they're throwing things or they're going up in the air and you have to like, hit them with the first person?
Yes, but there's repeating the same sort of mini game multiple times. I mean, yes, it's, if you like, you could say it's uniquely different because it kind of is. It has a different skin to it in some regards, but you know, it's not really a true different mini game.
No, I agree.
A few HP games are sort of bad for this, where they do repeat themselves quite severely to an extent. But you know, you've got certain games that just try a bit harder, I think is the nicest way of saying it, where they make each mini game really quite uniquely different. So every time you come to a different part, it feels specially different to the other one you just played. And then as a result, you don't feel like you're kind of playing the same part of the game multiple times, basically. So yeah.
I think of anything I didn't like. It was just a lot better. Like, didn't. Oh yeah, there's a Death Day one.
Actually, to be fair, there is another part I didn't like, and it's not because it's, so to speak, bad. It's more the fact that they didn't give you a lot of time with it. So it's, I'm trying to remember when it happens. It's when you go off to get Lockhart to then go to the chamber, where there's this room that exists for some reason in his office.
Is this the swirly?
Where you've got these swirly things, and you have to go on a specific path to get through it. Now, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's a cool concept. But my problem with it is they give you like 0.2 seconds to actually get to the next square, which is not enough time. So as a result, you constantly find that you just keep getting dragged back all the time, and it's just annoying. That part, I think, actually, it's a shame because it was a cool concept, a unique idea, but it's ruined by just not really actually, I guess, paying enough attention to how you designed it.
I'm just bringing it up on the screen, and I remember struggling with this a lot my last stream, which is weird because it's not like, it doesn't feel difficult, but I kept failing at it, and I couldn't tell if it's because the swirls weren't like completely lined up with the squares, or I was just a bit like too slow. But I'm glad that there's only 2 rooms of it and not 3, because that is a real risk when everything in all these bloody games always has to be like the rule of 3. You know what I mean? It's always 3. They always have to repeat stuff 3 times, so I was glad that they didn't.
I think it's more with these that they just don't give you a lot of time usually, and that kind of really just screws you over. But also, if you're trying to get every bean, then Christ, it can be
I did that the first time, and then I just
gave up
trying to get every bean. There was something else.
Speaking of beans, actually, quickly, while we're on that topic, I want to bring this up because it's an interesting thing between the 2 games. So in the first game, I'd argue you need to collect every bean if you want to get, all these secrets and really go all the way. But in the case of the second one, you don't. You really don't need to get every bean. You just have to get a select amount, which is not hard to obtain, by the way. It's really easy to obtain that.
Hundreds of beans in this game.
Yeah. But you can easily get what you need for getting those beans, which is to pay friend George for like the cards and stuff. And then, you just get an excess of extra beans that you're never going to use. I don't know if they were going to do more with it, but it just seems that you don't do much with it. Possibly it's because, I don't know, they were trying to do another concept like the PC one where friend George, I don't know, murder Snape in beans or something. But,
maybe
it's just intriguing.
Maybe they did just think the previous one was too harsh, which seems to be a recurring theme with some of these games. It's like they realized something in the previous game was too difficult, and then were like, we'll make it a bit easier this time, like the spell learning between the first 2 PC games.
It's alright, it's like the AI in Goblet of Fire. I think it's a bit harsh, because it's not very good.
There was one other thing that I didn't enjoy in this game, that when I was skipping through the video before, I'll try and skip ahead. It was the slide.
The slide, yes. When we get after like these points, we should definitely ask the chat. I think for some of their points as well, because I think we should get the chat involved a bit.
Please say what you, I think at the moment, liked or disliked the most about this game's. The slide I found. This was my last stream. I found this so difficult.
It's because you're timed with this one as well, isn't it? That's why.
And like
there
corners.
Is. There is an easy way to actually do this. Like when I was younger, I used to find this really difficult, but it's not so bad if you play it in the right ways. So usually when you get close to a corner, you just need to like pull back on the analog stick and really always sort of angle Harry straight forwards, and then you'll have no trouble. But when you get to these flat bits, you really just need to gun it. Big time. But also you shouldn't be afraid in these sections to instead of following the exact path, just try and gun it and bounce him from one part to the other. Because
like skip over
actually
a gap.
works. Yeah, it works surprisingly quite well. I never really have trouble with this anymore because I've just learned it, I think, over all these years of playing it, and you can kind of get used to it. But the timer was just one of the most evil things in the past for me with this.
Like
that's the worst bit.
They remove like more barriers in this one and make you have to do it faster.
Well, they don't allow you to be careful in it, effectively. You can't be cautious really easily. You've actually got to really just be a reckless person doing this bit. But yeah, I don't know why the timer's even there. It's completely pointless.
Before Lockhart murders Ron, I guess. It's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, let's go through what some of the chat says. Chloe Beth says they should have had wizard crackers. They should have had a I can't even say the word anymore. Wizard crackers version for fun as well, as like I guess like an extra mini game or something. That wouldn't have been a bad idea because the wizard crackers, which is only in the first game, I remember not liking it when I was young, but nowadays I quite enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's like the best thing ever, but like it's not actively bad. Let's say that. Roberto really likes the slippery sound effects in this game. I agree. They're really nice. Is there much in this game for slippery sound effects? Like
there is in the Death Day party area when you're sliding on the green gooey floor. There's that.
Yeah.
There's, I think, some of it's, from the chasing Malfoy bit. Not Malfoy, but like the slithering guy.
Yeah.
I think there's some there. I can't really remember the rest. No. Actually, sorry, there is a part that has just come into my head that I really despise about this game. I just remembered it.
Go on.
Forbidden Forest trolls. Shit, that part is awful. There are like these...
Oh, God!
There are these security troll things that patrol the forest. To get to Aragog, you have to go through them.
Yeah.
And those sods can see through everything, I swear. The amount of times I heard, I was like, you bastard.
They're just, it's just not very well designed. Like, it's impossible to know when they can see you, where to, like, go, what their patterns are. Or even if you know the patterns, it doesn't seem like there's any time you can go. And there was a few points where I was hiding behind, not even quite in the same section, and they just, like, saw me through the trees.
Yeah, they can see through objects. They can clip through stuff as well, which is really annoying. It's the same in the chamber, because there's a troll, like 2 trolls, I think, in the chamber, just before you go and fight the basilisk. Same issue. Evil stuff. Whoever came up with that in this game, you needed more time making that, because that was just wrong. That was definitely a hard part of the game. I think that could be the hardest bit of the whole game, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, there you go. That's another bad point. Carry on.
Chloe says in Hardwick Hall in the Queen Elizabeth I room, I think that's where that tapestry was. Hardwick Hall, where is Hardwick Hall? It's somewhere. Because I did actually go and try, I found some of the paintings that some of the pictures in the game are actually like based off in real life, which is quite fun. Hardwick Hall is in Derbyshire, okay. Fine, I'll go and find the tapestry.
That's what everyone wants you to do now. You just go
see every
flying off to different places to go. You're going to go off to Spain at some point just to look for some tapestry.
Yeah. That's very, like, I would so do that, though.
That's fine. He's got the ability to do that. Let him do it.
Well, I don't have all the resources to do that, but I'll...
you'll be fine.
Oh yeah, John says to anyone who hasn't played this game, spoiler, Snape never awards you house points in this version. Does he award you house points in the other ones? I thought he just takes them away, if anything. I can't remember.
I don't remember him ever awarding you house points, but maybe
I feel like he just takes them away. But I love in the PC one where he's like, I see you've collected challenge stars.
Some challenge stars.
These mean nothing to me. It's so good.
Yes.
Drew says, I liked Harry playing the theme tune on the flute. Yes, in the first game, like the
Oh, with the owl and things. Yeah.
So funny. Well, because they do
Better
that in
if
the
you
film
fail
as
it.
well.
They do, yeah. Have you failed that bit before?
Like, to the point of death? I don't think so.
No, like, just, there's a bit with an owl. You can do it with Fluffy, but in particular the owl where Hagrid gives you the flute and then says, you know, play the stream tune to make the owl go to sleep. Instead of playing it, just play all the wrong notes, and all you hear is one of the most beautiful theme tunes ever. It's just, It sounds great. There's just this owl sitting there going, "What are you doing to me?"
Poor owl.
Oh man. Then the spell casting is a massive upgrade. I agree. It is a massive upgrade in the second game over the first one. Even the dueling side of it was pretty good. I quite like that. In fact, I'd say this game's probably got the better dueling out of all the duelings. Because you can't easily abuse it, so to speak, unlike the others.
That's true.
Which you could so badly do in the other two games that I can think of it in. So, like the PC and PlayStation 2 one.
Actually, watching the clip that's on now with Lockhart and Harry dueling, visually, I really like it. The colours and the lighting, it's really nice. Anyway,
well,
just,
it is nice that the spells, you know, you look uniquely different in the PS1 version to kind of give you that indication of what each one is. Whereas in something like the PS2 version, they all look pretty similar.
Yes.
You know, they have a similar vibe.
Yeah.
But yes, it's a nice touch, actually.
Chloe says Oliver Wood like both of these games, ha ha ha. People have been tormenting me with joking because Oliver Wood is in the character. Oliver would do this, Oliver would do that.
All right.
It's very good.
I see.
That's it. That's I think that's most of the comments I've seen, but feel free to.
Yeah, I tell you what, if we carry on making our points for various other bits that we'll be moving on to next, what I'll say is for the chat, why don't you put in some of your least favourite moments from both games?
Yeah.
And also, why don't you put in, if you bothered to do it, your most loved 100%? You know, do you prefer doing that for the first one or the second one? I'm sure I know what most of the answers would be for that, but it would be curious to see what people say.
Most of them will be neither. These games are torturous to 100%.
Well, no, the second one isn't really, but I think the thing is, if you do it for the first one, people might say yes, just because, you know, it's so much effort and pain to get there that they probably feel so accomplished that they probably just put that one.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Okay, let's start off with things that are better, seeing as I think John said that the spellcasting is an upgrade. So what's better in the second one? What did they improve? I'm trying to.
Well, I kind of mentioned some of it earlier. So, like, for example, in my eyes, Incendio is better because A, you use it on more things, and B, it actually doesn't have this stupid, I'm going to call it a mini game, but button prompts thing to actually cast it, which just was annoying. For Pendo, I actually want to bring up for Pendo.
Okay.
Because the upgrade for Pendo, which you can obtain by going into the Great Hall, I think it is this time, or something like that.
I don't think I went in the Great Hall this time when I played the second game, actually.
Fair enough. Is it the Great Hall, or just like in the main staircase area, there's a little side room that you can go into, and that's where you get it this time round? But the nice thing about it is you can get it early on. So as a result, you know, it's actually useful throughout more of the game, which is, in my personal view, a huge step up over the first game for that. And believe me, you want that upgraded for Pendo in the second game because it really is useful, especially in the dueling, because it carries over to the dueling.
That's good. That's actually really good.
It's a really solid thing to go and obtain. It's worth your while. So actually, I'll give them props for that. Damn good idea. The other spells. So I mean, the one
room
that I
opposite the Great Hall, says John. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I missed it then.
The one that definitely was pointless, and I don't know why they even put it in the game in the end, was the one for the pixies. You know, where you freeze the pixies and then you put them inside the cages, because you use it in that one level there and never again.
I was about to say, I don't remember.
It's irrelevant. It's completely
funny.
pointless.
Yeah.
I don't know why they put it in. I thought you might use it in dueling, to freeze
Yeah,
students
that
or
would have been
something, but no, just completely gone forever. So that one I would say is, I mean, it's not worse than the first game, I suppose, but it's a pointless spell that I don't think the first game ever really had. So there's that. What else was actually in the second game off the top of my head? Wingardium Leviosa was in it, to be fair. That was the same, so...
Verdimillious was slightly better, as in there was extra things that you could do,
Verdimillious, yeah. I think it was a step up. Did something different.
Yeah.
What else?
I don't remember any other spells. That was it? In terms of spells?
Probably. Even I can't remember half the spells.
Oh, the first game there was the transfiguration of the bird statues, but that doesn't come in this one at all.
No, so Aberfor's. Is just in that. Aberfor's, in all fairness, it's one of those spells that, I mean, it's been cut from multiple games because, they didn't know what to do with it, let's be honest. But
yeah.
I think it's nice that they actually got it in the PS1 game for Philosopher's Stone, but again... all it is just turning a bird statue into a bird, right? So that you can get to an object or something.
Yes.
You can only do so much with that. So I think with what they actually did do with it, they did all right with it in the end, in all fairness. They did all right. What else is in the first game then? I'm trying to think of the first game now.
What, in terms of spells or just anyway? Anything?
Spells. Spells in particular.
Flipendo. Second game, Petrificus Totalis. I don't think that was in this. Was it? So
no,
this is
what
John just commented.
No, it
I
wasn't
think we've covered
in
all the spells. I don't think there was anything else. Because
what's the one that Quill? No, he teaches you Verdimillious, doesn't he?
He does. He teaches you two. Flipendo, Flipendo, right? That's the first one he teaches you.
He doesn't teach you that. You learn that from Nearly Had This Nick in the tutorial.
Really? Oh wow! Oh yes, you're right. Of course. But
no, Quill's kind of irrelevant in the PS1 game, to be fair.
Someone teaches you two spells, or did I make that up? Maybe I made that up. It was just the second game.
That's the second game with Lockhart. Lockhart teaches you two.
I think that's all the spell differences then, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I would say that both games are actually fairly solid when it comes to spells.
Yeah,
I suppose in the end, the second game is better when it comes to just improving on the previous spells from the past game. But I will give the first game credit for not having any spells that are completely pointless.
Yeah. Yeah, some are just situational, but the fact that they teach you the bloody pixie one, it feels more they're teaching it rather than it being used as a spell, but more just because it's a plot point, which
it is.
Whatever. It's literally just at least it is at least a plot point. It could have been even less. So, and I have to say the dueling is really good in this game, which we've already touched on. But that's to do with spells as well. Maybe let's move on from spells. One other thing is there's more music in this game.
Yes, there is.
Which I say it's still not. I wouldn't say there's still a lot. I think there's still a lot of periods where there's no music from what I remember. Maybe I can't remember when you're walking around Hogwarts if there's music playing or not actually, but there's a lot more moments where there is music.
There's elements when you're walking around Hogwarts where there's music, and then there's elements where there isn't, and it's just sort of silence.
Yeah.
It mixes a lot more in this one.
Yeah, but I think I do overall appreciate the inclusion of the music more, and it's interesting hearing it where some of the pieces are like the same that are in the PC one, but like slightly different arrangement, or they're done with the the like sort of fake instruments rather than like an actual orchestra or whatever. That's quite nice to hear. Yeah, I mean, I just really like the music in the early Harry Potter games, and it's just nice to hear more of it, to be honest. But
I think everyone does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else was better without just listing the whole game. I feel like spell lessons were they longer in this game? I remember that Herbology was, but I don't think they all were.
Yeah, I mean the actual lessons themselves were mostly quick. Herbology had a proper length to it, mainly because you're saving the mandrakes, right?
Yeah.
The other ones, like the Pixie one, is pretty quick.
That's
The
true, actually,
Verdaminius one is really quick because of Valentine's Day around the corner, which I will get to.
Yes.
We will bring that up, don't you worry. Oh, here's the flag room that you were trying to talk about earlier. There it is. Yeah.
I have to say, I do think, although it was still good in the first game, the buildings and like the architecture and the design, I think I prefer in the second one. It just feels like they've put a bit more variety and effort into it. Like even just this outdoor scene, there's like the archways. It just feels more, I don't know,
like a castle.
Yeah. More realistic, I think. And again, all of the artwork inside as well is quite nice.
Yeah, I think with this one, what I can say is the art style is more consistent. Whereas with the first one, there's quite a big sort of jump in various places. Like the outside, for example, the first one is pretty damn incredible in my opinion, and I do prefer the outdoors of the first game for the exploring side of things and all that overall. And I prefer the looks with like the gazebo and stuff. But then you look at that color of greenery there, and then you come inside of Hogwarts itself, and it's got this more grey tone that you would expect. And then you go to something like the dungeons, and you know it's like going into a pyramid or something practically, and you think, what's happened? Why is the graphics changed in such an extreme way? What happened down here?
But it's funny that they picked that color. It really doesn't make any sense. Like, where on earth did they get that from for like dungeon?
I mean, it is a weird color. I can kind of understand it to an extent, but it doesn't really fit in my view as a dungeon at the end of the day. But then when you come to the second game, everywhere, and I mean everywhere, feels quite consistent in its look. You know, there's that proper casterly grey colour that really fits with everything. And then when you go outside, while I think it's more boring and there's not much to it, it is a consistent design.
No, I agree. I guess it's less fantasy and more realistic castle. Yeah, that's true.
Yes. So I think that's the big difference. So I can see that probably when it came down to the dev team, you know, all the guys that were quite arty and I guess over the top in design that were on the first game probably all went, and we got a new lot. So yes, that's just that kind of sort of perspective, I think, from the games. They really do sort of look like that. Even Diagon Alley, actually, from the first game to the second one. I mean, it's the same, obviously the same area, but it's more that in the first one, it's quite, how do I put it? It's a very just general look overall, I would argue. Whereas in the second one, especially given that you go there when it's snowing, it's a much more, I think, vibrance of colours overall, and it really kind of makes everyone stand out better. You know, nobody's blending in, so to speak, with the environment a bit too much. By the way, I found PS1 John in Diagon Alley. It is literally John. John, who's in your chat right now.
As in, it looks like John.
It is him. It is him as a PS1 model in Diagon Alley. So yes, I found John.
And you're not making a joke about it being that weird hag by Nocturne Alley or something?
Oh no. But that actually took a step downwards in design. Not really, because obviously it's meant to be a scary hag, but it's just more when you look at the two of them side by side. The first game's quite normal, and then you get to the second one, and Jesus Christ, I don't know what happened in that year, but something went wrong, all right.
Yeah. Actually, while the this bit is on the screen, it reminded me. One bit that's better is obviously that it doesn't lock every door behind you the moment you walk through, so that's really nice. And two, obviously you've still got like the secret rooms behind the bookcases, and it's still not perfect, but there's less you going behind a doorway and all of a sudden you're in a maze that you can't escape from, like the stupid the 4 different coloured eye puzzle in the first game. That is just possible to navigate because every corridor looks exactly the same.
That's the dungeon.
That's the dungeon, of course.
Yeah.
Whereas in this game, there were still moments where there was layers within layers, which was a bit much for my poor brain. But there's less of that, and I appreciate that, I have to say. Like, the general layout and also ability to constantly explore everywhere are both a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. The areas in the second game are so freaking obvious to know where you're going at all times. So you can't really ever be stuck not knowing where you are. Likewise, areas that generally in the first game, I'd argue, basically were pointless and might as well not exist, such as the common room, actually have a purpose in the second game.
Yeah.
So like, in the first one, you basically go in there just to see a common room, and then you will never go back.
Yeah.
Other than being forced there at the end of the game and being trapped in this sort of prison forevermore. But there's no reason to go in there ever again, other than to get like a frog that you're probably never going to get because there's like no reason to go there. But then in the second game, right, you've got a whole purpose to the common room, quite a lot actually. You've got the Champion Cup things that you can unlock. You've got Fred and George to buy beans from. You've got Colin Creevy's book where you can replay through levels that you missed secrets on or just want to replay levels. Then you've also got that whole secret area behind, like this statue where you can go to a secret room with the art of the game, as well as also like super cool jewels.
I don't think I've been in there.
Yeah, you need to really get 100% to go there.
Oh, you do. Okay, that's okay. Well, that's never happened.
But when you go there, you can basically go over this sort of like secret area with Verdimilius to go and look at this cool art book of like all the different art of the game and stuff. It's really cool, actually.
Yeah, I should look then. Random anime fan, he just asks what funny things I missed. We're just talking about things that we think are better in the second game than the first game. Another thing,
basically,
I think
everything.
I think personally, I think the comedy in the second game is better. I think it's a lot more funny, but I understand that you obviously also think a lot of things in the first game are funny. I mean, they're both pretty...
They're both hilarious.
I feel like the first one's more funny by accident, and the second game feels like they more meant it to be funny. Like, as in, I don't know, I personally feel like the lines they put in the second one, like Colin Creevy as well, just a ridiculous character,
To be fair, we can't forget about Aragog being an egg. He literally looks like an egg.
Oh, God. Yeah.
With some legs put on him. And it's the noises as well that he made. You can tell that he definitely made that bit more hilarious. Because like all the other games, right, Aragog just comes out and talks to you. Whereas in that one, he comes out and he goes... It's just like, okay. How are you doing, Aragog? Yeah, it's quite a weird change. They definitely did try very hard with the humor, I think, in the second game. There's no denying it. Yeah. I mean, even like when Ron's recovered from throwing up slugs, he goes, I need to go and brush my teeth again.
Yeah.
Because of the slugs and stuff. So, yeah, they really do certainly develop on the humor a lot.
Yes, yeah. I was just going to have a quick look through the chat to see if other people thought what things were better. John said... the fact that you get graded for the spells, actually, rather than just... I guess it was just pass-fail in the first one, I think. Or at least, like, you'd get certain house points, but it wasn't as, like, obvious.
Yeah.
If the sad pixie sounds are too much, they sound like dying kittens. Yes, I forgot about them. They're actually, like... they make some, like, horrible sounds when you lock them away.
They make cat noises or whatever where they go...
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see. I did write down one thing we could talk about is things that are the same, but like, I mean, that's pretty much... We
kind of have done that.
Yeah.
But one thing we haven't talked about yet, which is vitally important, and we can't forget about it, is Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
The card-carrying Cupids. My God.
Find it. Is this my first stream of this?
What a section that was.
Is it after the
it's after you learn Verdimilius.
Oh, so it's quite late then.
Yeah. It's literally right after you learn Verdimilius.
Let's
but
see.
My God, what a freaking thing.
When did I learn? Is that before you go
Oh,
to the... No, it's
Raymond and his lost kitten. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. There's going, Harry, can you see my kitten?
Okay, we're just learning Virgin Media's here. Okay, I'll rewind it a little bit. Okay, I'll just let it play from the end.
Oh my god, there he was. That was
Yeah,
Argonaut.
yeah. I just had it for a sec. He's wearing like a... It's like a Spanish... I don't know what it's called, but he looks very Spanish. The red and the patterns on the arms. Oh no, Roberto.
There we go.
To
So yeah,
lovely
there it
for you
is.
to be
There
here,
it is.
Roberto.
Yeah, the Valentine's Day bit. I have to say, with this whole section, it is actually in the book, I might add. It is a thing in the book. But
Okay.
I didn't expect them to actually put it in the game.
Yeah, yeah.
be honest.
Let me skip ahead a little bit because it's a bit behind.
But, man,
Okay, a bit there.
what a section. What a damn section.
Yeah.
It's one of those sections that I think if you play this game for the first time, you're not expecting it to come. You're not expecting it to happen
Absolutely.
in any capacity.
Absolutely no idea because everyone was like hinting that something crazy was coming up soon. And I was like, okay. I was absolutely not expecting. This feels very Shrek 2 PC game coded to me. It feels like absolutely absurd humor. Like this is the equivalent of in the 6th game when Ron takes the love potion and when Harry takes the like
the
liquid luck
potion. Yeah.
or like the record scratch. It's like this.
Record scratch.
It's like this doesn't belong here, but I kind of love it anyway. It's just so like I'm just watching it.
Voice lines.
It just
though,
has
that
like
they
nothing to
say.
do with anything. It's just...
No, the voice lines though that they say. Oi, Harry Potter! I've got a musical message to deliver to you.
so good.
It's just Harry going, "Oh, get away from me!"
Are they supposed to look a bit like mini Dumbledores?
I don't think they're supposed to, but
they do.
they kind of do. It's the fact that I don't know if you ever failed it, but if you get caught by that, oh yeah, you did.
yeah.
But oh my god, what an experience! This is like one of the greatest game over freaking screens you will ever see in your life. It's hilarious.
It's so random.
Just so outrageously over the top.
Yeah.
But I wanted to add actually because we talked about the troll being difficult earlier.
Yes,
so
I was
this
gonna say you
section and the
mentioned this.
troll are basically identical in design, but the difference with the troll and this is with the troll, he basically makes torches come off the wall and fly to hit you, but the torches are usually really easy, in my opinion anyway, to avoid because you can kind of tell where they're going to land because there's a shadow on the floor which will show you where they're going to hit. Whereas these guys are like shooting machine guns practically. You know, they're just shooting these freaking love hearts at you all the time. And while you can, in fairness, in most areas see where they're going to land, these love hearts that hit you, sometimes you are screwed when you're trying to jump like really long distances and they can just clip you at the back and it just kills you instantly and things. There are lots of really, I would say, unfair shots that they can make, these guys. Yeah, I think it's harder, personally, this than the troll.
I don't remember getting actually hit by any of the arrows, but...
Yeah, because you're a pro, there you go. Pro, yeah.
Oh yeah,
just not on the troll.
No. Highland said he told me to make sure I died, which was obviously the correct thing to do.
Fly, yeah. Fly knows my thought process. I think everyone does from my server.
Okay, so whether or not you would say this is worse than the troll thing, whatever, but I guess we should move on to things that we think are worse in the second game. And also if anyone in the chat can think of anything that's worse. One thing I can think of, which is actually about to probably is on my screen coming up, is, well, two related things, is when the game freezes and then it like slowly goes into the storybook.
Oh right, yeah.
Terrifying. I'm like, it's crashed. The game's crashed. And also all of the scenes it pauses on, none of them look good. They all look some horrible weird angle. And then the other thing was the storybook, like 3D CGI pictures are absolutely terrifying. I would say I hate them so much that I love them, but I don't even think it's that. It's literally just hate. Like,
The interesting thing about them is they're blatantly things that were basically scrapped from the PS2
Yeah,
port
right.
because they are the PS2 models. They
Yes.
are all PS2 related. So, I mean, like, I know very much, I remember this. At the very end of the game, you got that picture of Harry smiling. I mean, it's obvious that that was early works of getting animations to work properly on the face model, and it didn't work. So I assume that they just gave it to Argonaut in the end because they went, "You guys are
We
taking
can't
the
use
piss with
these.
this game, right? You might as well take these."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's oh man, some of those can be quite interesting to look at. There's no denying it.
Mm.
There's one bit in this game, I'm pretty sure it's this one, where it goes to the storybook where it just ends on a green screen.
Yeah.
It's just a
Yeah.
complete green screen, and you think,
Oh.
okay, and then it zooms out with the book, and it's like it's still green, and it looks terrible. Why would you do
It's
this? Why
so
would you just
strange.
freeze it on maybe an actual gameplay part?
Yeah. It definitely feels more rushed in this game, the whole storybook thing. But I'm sure it wasn't necessarily easy to do that whole. I guess.
Transition.
Yeah, like I'm assuming they take some kind of screenshot of the last bit. I assume it's not still rendering anyway, and then it gets smaller. Like it's just that was
Zooms
felt
out,
like a lot
yeah.
of effort to do for something that doesn't look very good.
No, I think to be fair, they did an all right job, but yeah, I think when
Yeah,
it
it's
comes
not
to
it's not their fault that it doesn't look good. It's just wherever it freezes, just obviously doesn't look good. Like it's more
Yeah.
just the situation.
But even when you get to like that green one, I would argue that that one's just not really looking at it properly and not trying, to be honest. That's just going, yeah, that'll do, call it a day.
Yeah. Trying to think of other things that I think were worse in this game. There wasn't a lot, to be honest. The main one for me was the storybooks, just because as well the illustrations from the first one were so nice. Okay, like,
I think, to be fair, something that I would argue was worse is getting into the game. So,
okay.
in the case of the first one, I would argue that yes, obviously you got a tutorial and all that, but it felt quick to get through it and, just get straight to it. Whereas in Chamber, you've got this sort of, it's an interesting idea they went for, and I appreciate it, but I don't think it fully worked. Where they kind of mixed a tutorial and main gameplay at the same time. So there's like the whole burrow section to me is quite dull because there's a lot of very much just general gameplay bits that kind of go on a bit, and then there's other bits that are just tutorial. Now, a bit that really didn't need to be in it, in my opinion, at all, and they could have just deleted from the whole game as far as I'm concerned, is the part where you have to go and find Ginny through all their garden. It's just the same kind of repetitive sort of gameplay all the way through it, and it's so dull. I mean, the only thing that really changes it up is there's some bees that you have to avoid in places, and that's about it. Otherwise, the rest of it is all stuff that you did earlier, which is moving an object, dropping it somewhere, breaking a barrel. I mean, the only other thing that I guess you could argue is unique is fighting a washing machine, but it's not as good as fighting a washing machine in the PS2 port.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I don't know, there's just that whole section to me is long, dull, and kind of pointless. Whereas if they had just gone through the whole this bit at the beginning,
and then
up to the point where you throw the gnomes, and then at the end of it go, right, let's go to Diagon Alley or school or something, that would have been fine. But yeah, it just seems so unnecessary.
I was about to say, I was just skipping through the video. It took me an hour almost to get through the whole of the burrow bit, which obviously I wasn't playing it like super efficiently, but like pro.
Yes.
But you're right. Actually, thinking back, it did take ages. I mean, fighting a washing machine is always kind of a novelty because it's not something that you do in most games. But yeah.
It's
And
not very entertaining though, the fighting of a washing machine in
no.
this one.
Also, that whole
It's
section, once you've
basic.
left the like main bit of the burrow and then go into the more foresty bit, visually as well, is not particularly interesting. I think, like compared to say the outside of Hogwarts in the first game. So Oberon just said, "Poor PS1 Jenny looking somehow 12 and 40 simultaneously." She does. She kind of looks like an English teacher or something.
An English teacher.
Like some weird. I was about to say some weird pattern jumper. As I'm wearing.
You just insulted every English teacher across the country.
I didn't say it was an insult. I think she looks good.
He's just trying to save himself now in the last second. Oh man.
But no, yeah, that first section is the best. Yeah, please have a look through. I'm just gonna skip through some of the video to just try and think.
Those goofy goobers were high as a kite that night. Interesting.
I feel like that could refer to literally anything in any of these games.
But yeah, true. So what was this? Reminds me of how the devs randomly gave Filch Snape's model skin in one of the Prisoner of Azkaban stealth areas. Right.
Yeah, doesn't Ginny look completely different from gameplay to the cutscenes? Yes, she does, because the storybook mode is
PS2.
Yeah.
Yes. What we got? We got not necessarily worse than the first game, but the concept art book as an end game reward was the biggest disappointment as a kid. I can understand that. It depends who you are. If you're someone that quite likes art and game dev stuff, then I think, you'll like it. I quite liked it personally, but I could understand as a gamer you want something that really rewards you big time, for a gameplay perspective. Usually at the end, it's kind of the
gold
same.
Wizard card room.
Yes,
Wizard card
it's
challenge.
kind of the same though. That sort of idea with Goblet of Fire. Actually, if you 100% that, what you get at the end is it's not just a book, but it's an actual trailer of all the different concept art of the game and things that they were doing. Kind of neat to see. I think it is neat to see it actually. But again, for the amount of just horrendous stuff you have to get through to get to that, definitely not worth it. So yeah, I can see that perspective at the end of the day, but then I'd argue the first game's reward, what is it? I mean, to get 100% you get an extra game of Quidditch.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yay. Thrilling
Which was so
stuff
fun
right
to play.
there. And then your other reward, I guess, is being locked inside your common room like everyone else if you don't get 100%, and that's it. So, do you really think it's worse? I don't know. I'm not sure I would argue that it's worse. I would say it's better, but obviously it could have been better, yes. Definitely.
I'm skipping through footage of the game. There's not really anything else I would say is worse that I'm seeing.
You're about to get to the troll section, mate. It's definitely worse.
I just skipped ahead a bit, but no, you're right. That was worse. You're right.
There isn't, to be fair, an awful lot worse actually in the second game than the first one. Because to be fair, like I mentioned when we first literally went on Chamber, I said basically everything that they did well in Flosper, they brought to Chamber and then just added on top of it.
Yeah.
They just got rid of all the bad stuff from Philosopher's Stone pretty much and went, yeah, we'll make it better.
Yeah.
And they did, in all fairness. I really can't think of much. Yeah, I
No.
can't think of much else that's worse than what has already been mentioned, to be fair. It is actually a very solid game, Chamber.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Cream says Chamber of Secrets does lose a lot of the horror atmosphere of the first one. There was more music throughout the castle. The basilisk voice was nowhere near as creepy as Voldemort/Quirrell stalking you through the castle. Yes, it does lose, I guess, some of the horror atmosphere, especially because the knights were so scary in the first one, I found.
They were, yes. They were quite a menacing thing to deal with.
Yeah.
Whereas in the second one, there's still a big deal, I would say, in the second one, but you have a lot more room, I would argue, to deal with, when you fight them. Whereas it's just not like that in the first one. But then I would also argue that in the first one, when you have Quirrell at the end, he looks creepy, of course, following you throughout the whole game with the dark shadow and that. I like that idea. That was good. But when he gets revealed who he actually is, and he's not Snape, because it's just some rock effectively falls on his on his hood, and it just reveals his face, and you think, oh my god, it's going to be one of the most menacing, horrifying moments, and you've just got this really kind of pathetic, if I'm honest, outcome of just it wasn't my fault. That's it. It's like, oh, you're the menacing guy that's been stalking me the whole game. Jeez. The Voldemort that you got, though, at the end, I will admit, was one of the most horrifying pieces of mouldy cheese you will ever see. Truly one of the most disturbing graphical designs ever, and I don't know what was going through their minds when making that, but, man. I mean, I probably would say it was just a horrible graphical look, but it's not as bad as, I would argue, the PC one, where he literally breaks his neck. You know, he comes over and just goes to show the head. It's like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I guess the ending as well, where you have Quirrell, I don't really know how to describe this, but he sort of bends over onto Harry trying to strangle him, but then the sound effects of just not going off when you're trying to fight against him. Just, oh man, you can't take it seriously.
Yeah.
It's funny though.
One thing, I know we talked about the spells earlier, but I personally don't like Incendio in this game as much, but I know that you do prefer it, but that's just me. I think I just found it really frustrating having to like hold it in for so long, especially when you're trying to hit the slugs. But
I've got an idea for you, and we're going to see what wins here. At the end of this stream, you're going to put a poll up on YouTube, on your community tab, and you're going to say,
okay,
which is better, Incendio from PS1 Philosopher's Stone or from Chamber of Secrets? I want to see what people vote for.
This is when you get all of your lot to all vote.
Yeah, I will do that too. But we're going to see what the results are for that eventually. And then
I know I'm going to lose.
It's fine. When we next do another stream, whatever it may be, we can bring that back up, that topic, and go, yeah. So who feels silly now?
Yes, go on. I'll do that afterwards. But actually, while we're here, because I think there is some people on Twitch at the moment as well. If everyone comments a 1 or a 2, like the number 1 or 2, to say which game you prefer, just as like a nice thing to end on, because I think personally I think I'm coming up to the end of my thoughts for this game. I don't know about you, Alex, if you can think of any other fun bits you want to bring up.
I don't think there's an awful lot else that's, so to speak, a big deal to bring up. I guess the car could be brought up. Go on, because that is unique. It is unique though to this game.
Yeah,
like,
it's
the others don't
near the
do
beginning
it.
when you fly in the car, right?
Yeah, the other games don't do it. But yeah, basically, please don't tell me you're going to miss that secret. I swear to God.
No, no, I think I do. I think I do find it. I've just gone past it on my screen now.
Anyway, sorry, your footage can hurt my soul if you miss things. But anyway,
close your eyes, then.
He's missed it. Right. Anyway, I'll just ignore that happened. Yeah, the car part. You know, I think a lot of people either love it or hate it. I personally think the car part was quite an interesting concept, and actually, in the end, kind of fun.
Yeah, I think I thought it was alright. I didn't love it, but it was a bit difficult. But it was pretty fun. The weird like sun symbol things flying around were a bit I don't know, maybe not super Harry Potter feeling to me, but it felt a bit like, I don't know, it felt a bit like the mine cart, but just better. Because you're going through a tunnel, there's things to hit, things to avoid.
It is effectively the minecart section from Philosopher's Stone, so like, on rails again, but the difference, of course, this time round is you have full control.
Yes.
Whereas the other one, you have basic control. And
Yeah.
also, you can't control your speed in the minecart. Whereas this, you can actually control your speed at all times. You can choose not to get the speed up tokens if you want,
Yes.
and slow
yeah.
down a bit. Or you can choose to get them and then go like an absolute madman down, the railway.
Yeah.
But also, I like the boldness in this to actually hide secrets within
Oh,
this.
off the side tunnels.
Yeah, there's
that.
like a wizard card out in the side tunnel, and you even get a unique quote from Ron, going, "Excellent, you found a witch's card."
Oh, wow.
It's neat that they actually put the effort in to do that. And then, of course, you've got the repairing spanners that float in the sky to help. See, there's always something a little bit more, like I've been saying with this game, where they take something that's bad from the first game and they just make it better. They really adapt and just improve upon that. And that's exactly what this did.
Yeah,
This was actually, in my opinion, a good idea. And it's the only game that was bold enough at the end of the day to do a car section. All the other games didn't do it. PC
right.
one was going to, but it got scrapped. So, it's the only one that did it.
Yeah. I also really like the symbols of the train and the car at the bottom. They also just... The style of the drawings is also quite nostalgic to me. It's kind of... Yeah, I don't know. The only thing I didn't like was how the trees look. I don't know, they just looked quite... basic.
They look flat.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, it's not like they don't look flat in any of the other games as well, but... they just look particularly cartoony here, I would say.
True, I suppose. Yeah, they kind of stand out a bit too much. I think it's because of their colours, really.
Yeah, this whole sequence, it's quite... The colours are quite saturated. They're quite bright. Which, I don't know, I think I would have preferred it if it wasn't quite as bright, but that's honestly such just like a minor nitpick for something that really doesn't matter that much. But overall, I like this bit actually. Yeah.
Yeah, the Whomping Willow fight, I would argue, in this is kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I don't remember it being. Yeah.
It's basically right after this section with the car, but all it is just walking side to side and casting at the mouthpiece of the Whomping Willow. And yeah, that's pretty much it, to be honest. There's like nothing else to it. I thought they would do a bit more with it. I'm kind of surprised they didn't. When you compare it to like what they did with other games, it's really kind of basic.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, look at that lovely art style there. Flat Hogwarts.
Yeah, I know, it's great.
And there's all those pigeons just sitting around.
One thing that I discovered
owls, but yeah.
for the first time when playing these games again is that you can press whichever button it is. Oh, my voice is going. But you can press whichever button it is to get like lightning to go on the menu screen. Did you know about this?
Lightning to go on the menu screen. What do you mean?
It's definitely on the first game. I'll skip to the first game. So you know the menu screen of the games.
Yeah.
Like, what's this? What game are we on here? Oh, I've gone back to the second game again here. It's in order, but I think I've just skipped ahead. So you know it'll take a bit. It's going to be pictures of me popping up as well. Okay. It'll take obviously a few seconds to come up on yours, but the menu screen with the clouds in the background. The first game, you've got the logo. There's some owls flying around. If you press, it's like, I don't know which button. It's like triangle. It causes lightning to flash on the menu, on the background.
Does it? I thought it just did it automatically.
It does it automatically anyway, but if you press it, it does it.
Oh.
I was like, wow, because someone told me, and then I tried it, and it works.
I actually, to be fair, did not know that.
Yeah.
No.
There you go. You always learn something new about these games every time.
One new thing.
Yeah. It's true, though. Every time I play them, there's always something that comes up that I haven't found before or didn't know about them or something like that.
Can't quite go that far, but there's
you've played them to death, to be fair, so...
There is sometimes something new. I mean, this one is new, in all fairness. I did not know that. Surprised that I didn't know that, to be honest. But there we are. I guess I just never really paid attention. Yeah, I will. I never paid attention to it. I wonder if there's something on the second game like that then.
I think I tried. I don't remember, actually. I can't remember, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't remember if there was any lightning anyway. It's just got the car floating around in the second one, I think. But,
yeah, it probably wouldn't be lightning. It would be something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a giant snake flies on the screen. I'm
only about to throw something across the screen or something like that.
Yeah. Literally. Oh man, I'll tell you what. 2 games that I always find in this series before we read the chat quick that always tend to. I can't believe I'm saying this, but they always, every time I look at them, which unfortunately is more than I would like, they always give me something new to learn about them. And that's the 2 Deathly Hallows games. It's genuinely depressing because I think those 2 are definitely the ones I played the least. But even with the amount I have played them, God forbid, I actually know them quite well. It's interesting to me that, you know, every time I come back, there's always something different there that I didn't know about. I mean, sometimes it's utterly pointless, but you know, it's there. There is one thing I am going to tell you, actually. I'm not going to tell you what it does, but you should do this when you play HP7, because you will have a better appreciation for parts of it if you do this. He's actually putting it in a notepad. That's great. So when you play HP7, at various points of the game, if you pause the game and just leave it on like the pause menu, and just listen, that's all you have to do, just listen, you'll appreciate the Deathly Hallows Part 1 more.
Okay.
If I say anything else, it's going to ruin the whole thing. But the idea, okay, to put it in perspective, let me ask you this. When you think of the Deathly Hallows Part 1, what's the most immediate thing that kind of comes to your mind about the theme of said game?
What, that none of it's in Hogwarts, basically? Is that what you mean?
No, as in, like, you know, each game, if you like, has a very particular theme to it. So, like, for example, Goblet of Fire is quite a action-packed, over-the-top sort of theme, right? And then what does Deathly Hallows Part 1 in particular kind of come out to you as, other than just the things you know about it being a shooter? What do you feel like is happening during that story?
I mean, not a lot. Like, as in, because the whole game is the whole film is like they're just going around finding Horcruxes, right?
True, yes.
I feel like I'm not answering this in the way that I'm supposed to, but I have no idea what I'm supposed to say.
You're not. All right, I'll help you. Each game has a particular theme to it. So in this case, for the Deathly Hallows Part 1, if you think about that, you think normally it's quite a dark, creepy time period, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I expect anyway when I play something like HP7. Obviously, I'm not going to give away the fact that it could or could not be like this, but you know, the menu in particular, if you pause it, like I said, and listen to it, you'll really appreciate what it should be as a result of this. And in particular, when you get to so like pretty much each chapter, because they're like sort of chapters and that rather than a free-flowing kind of game, pause it, just listen for a bit, you'll enjoy it. Then if you get to those side mission bits, before you start one, just sit there again and listen for a little bit.
On the pause menu.
Yeah. You don't have to listen forever, but just listen for a bit, because you'll need to turn your volume up, obviously, to really hear it. But it will just make you realise that if you ever come back to reviewing that game, you'll think, wow, why wasn't this properly in the game?
Okay. I'm intrigued, but
I know you said you're going to play that next, so
yes, that's my next.
Giving you some hints here of what actually you should listen to.
Good. Okay, nice.
Okay. Anyway, moving over from that, let's go to the chat.
Yes. I think generally most people preferred the second one. That's the first one. Although I feel like more people probably have more nostalgia about the first one, I would expect anyway.
Oh, that's a point actually. What John just mentioned here, that he told me a few things that I didn't know about the first PS1 game, and actually, there's one that sprung to my mind immediately. I kind of knew about it, but I didn't know quite how to get to it. So in the tutorial bit, there's like this little balcony section that you can actually jump onto, which is a completely secret area. It's not like vital or anything, but it has, I think, a chocolate frog or something up there. But it's a neat sort of secret area that is very unique to a person that really tries to explore.
That's cool.
It's not easy to get to either. You have to move the pillar in a particular way to get to it.
Okay.
And there are things that you learn. So yes, John is right about that. And I did learn a couple of things. There's no denying it.
Yeah.
But yes. Anyway, there you go. That was John's point. Then Fly said there's 2 Phils and 1 Alex.
Oh,
That's pretty horrifying.
Yeah, there was a bit on the screen when I was flicking through the other video where I popped up again.
Deary me. So what was this? So true, the Whomping level in PS2 is a big step up. Also, the guy trashes are something I want to see more of. Oh, I like the guy trashes. They were cool, actually. They were an interesting idea, really. So yeah, I agree with that. Then what we got from Ryan, we got 2. PS2 is my fave childhood HP game, but now I see how lazy it was in parts. It is. Are you using a part of the normal dungeon as the Sliver and Common Room scene, not animating any of the flashback diary scenes? Yes, it's just a load of dialogue and nothing. Just like a wall, basically, at points. Yeah, I agree with the PS2 one. There's a lot of major things that it missed and so on as well. I mean, like Lockhart basically just gets deleted from the game. Dobby's not even in it. There's lots of things. I agree with that. It's a very, very strong point to really add to that, which the other Chamber of Secrets do a better job of. So yeah, that's correct. It's like they did a beautiful dungeon plus base castle and said, that's all, folks. That's one way of putting it. PS1 was best by far in terms of following the source material. Probably true, although I would argue if you're going to go on a source material rant, then it's Game Boy Color that honestly wins in that area, for both games actually. But yes, it's not bad, this, by the way. Post Deathly Hallows retro whispering in your ear, turn back before it's too late. Yes. Anyway, don't worry about that, Phil. But ignore everything to do with anyone saying anything bad about Deathly Hallows. You'll love it. I promise.
I'm sure I will.
You'll absolutely love it. January 2022, eh?
Oh, that would have been...
when I streamed it and he told me all these things I didn't know, probably about that. Yeah. Sounds about right. Yes, didn't you ask people to vote as well for their favorite game?
Yeah, a few people put a little, not that many people actually said in the end, but everyone who did said the second one. Just typing, just like John said the second one, Ryan said the second one, Oberon agreed with John, which makes sense.
Oh, I see.
It is better.
It's managed to get buried away a little bit. Yes, I see it. Yeah, overall 2, but 1 is decent. 2 PS1 is kind of 1 PS1 but improved. True. Yeah, no, there's some very reasonable points there. Yeah, I think at the end of the day everyone's going to say the same thing unless you have super nostalgia, I suppose, for the first one. Yeah. Which is 2's better.
Yeah. And I guess less people have played the second one than the first one. And if you only played the first one, obviously you can't really make a decision. And if you've played both and you're sensible, then you're going to pick the second one because obviously it's better.
Yeah, I think, in all fairness, if they had made the Prisoner of Azkaban into a PS1 version as well, then we could have had a very interesting potential outcome of something truly incredible. But it's a questionable thing, right? It could have been utterly terrible, but it could have been really good. See, we could have had a similar situation to what I would describe for the PC games, which is that Prisoner is good, don't get me wrong, but no way near as good as Chamber. It's not even close, really. But then when it comes to PS2, in my opinion, I prefer Prisoner. I mean, Chamber is still great, but I think Prisoner did a better job overall, really. So, you know, there are like these sort of interesting differences between the two sort of, well, not even two. There's so many of them at this point. All the different consoles. But yes. Right, what else have we got here? Two really blew my mind back in the day. Would spend forever walking the castle with the gorgeous Lumos. Phil, don't know if you know, you can actually do polls during a stream on YouTube and Twitch.
You can. It's just I didn't want to have to set up for both. I thought that would be.
You try to say you couldn't be bothered.
Basically. Maybe in the future.
What was this? I think it's like Alex said, if you approach 7 with a different mindset, look for things to enjoy rather than try and enjoy the game as a whole, you may kind of not hate them. I actually agree with this comment. That's kind of why I've said it to Phil. Because you see, Phil, he's pure. He's not managed to be destroyed by HP 7 and 8 yet.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't played them. You see, for someone like me, it's too late. We've gone into these games and gone, right, let's see what we got here. And then we come out going utter trash. So, he has a chance to look at things in a different perspective, and as a result, he could actually do all right. You see, Phil could go into HP7 here and go, right, I know the gameplay is going to be crap. I know that the game overall is not going to be fun. But if I don't focus... if I don't focus on that bit and focus on some of the other bits that could actually be quite good, then you'll do all right. It's actually interesting because I did a review actually of HP7 at the end of last year. So I've started thinking about doing like review videos for the HP games. And HP7 is the one I started with, which I don't think anyone really expected, nor did I really, but here we are. But it was interesting for me to do that review because obviously, I'm always going to say the same thing, which is I think the game's terrible, which it is. But to actually really sit down and properly look through that game and analyze it all the way through, it really gave me more like a full-on perspective, if you like, of that game. And it gave me the chance to take a look at things in a more concrete depth that I normally would just gloss over and just think, okay, doesn't matter. But then I'll come back to it, look at it and go, actually, it does matter. It matters quite a bit. So, yeah, it was interesting to do that with HP7. And it's probably one of those games that I think out of any game in the whole series, actually, you could easily really analyze probably too hard just because there's so much kind of all over the place to it that you really kind of want to look at it in more depth and think, there actually is some good here and there's some bad here and there's something that could have been better here, not so here.
I've got all that to look forward to.
Meanwhile, you're going to love it.
John says, don't play them, Phil, save your sanity. And Oberon says, my advice would be to prepare the red wine. So that's the mindset
you should
to go into.
Just, honestly, if it was up to me, I would say don't play them. But it's not up to me because you have to play them because you're a HP channel. So, it's the way it goes, right? You are forced. It's a bit like everyone keeps asking me to stream Connect Harry Potter. I still haven't done it yet. I still don't want to do it.
Happen at some point.
But it will probably one day eventually creep its way over and I will hate my life. But, we're not there yet.
Okay, I think we should wrap up the stream here. But it's been really fun to just chat about the games for 2.5 hours, to be honest. I mean, there's so much to talk about. I mean, they are, I was about to say really good. Kind of really good. Some of them. The second one. But anyway, they're interesting games.
Both are good in their own right.
Yes, yeah. And forever nostalgic. Thanks to everything about them. Thank you for chatting. It's been really fun. Tell people where they can find you, what they can expect from you.
Yeah, I mean, I did say a little bit at the beginning, to be fair, but I know that obviously good old Phil has put my literal ID on the stream. It's right there under my camera.
Yeah, I think the
which is
description as well has a link to your channel as well.
Okay. I mean, yeah, so if you want to look at any of the stuff I do, then of course you can find my channel there. Just as a general perspective, I'm not just a HP content creator. Obviously, I'm quite heavy in that area, yes, but I do focus on multiple games. So you can find all sorts of games on my channel, from somewhat new to more the old classic stuff and various different genres. The other thing as well, like I did mention at the beginning, and I strongly recommend everyone honestly uses this now, and I will talk with Phil after the stream, and we'll probably get it pinned somewhere so you guys can easily find it. And that's, if you're going to play the PC games in particular for HP, and obviously if you're interested in other games that we looked at as well, that's fine. But yeah, there are fixes now for them that honestly will make them just run better, look better, all sorts of things that you really do want to use. Just playing the base versions of these games now, a lot of them is just terrible and not worth your time. I mean, just like as a quick example, Order of the Phoenix, the 5th game, running normally by today's standards is just terrible. In fact, the frame rate is so broken on it that, to be honest, you are actually playing it at about 22 frames. And it's awful. And it even thinks it's running at 500 when it's not. Basically, in a nutshell, their frame rate system is broken, so we fixed that. So if you were to go and play it now, you actually will be playing at a proper smooth frame rate, and it actually will work correctly. And ironically enough, fixing the frame rate on that game actually fixed the problems with hard mode. So now you could actually play the PC port all the way through on hard if you wanted to, which you haven't been able to do for years. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there, and you know, one of the big things with the two Deathly Hallows games is people never wanted to play them because they had a crappy semi-locked 30 frame rate, which meant that they were meant to be 30, but in reality they went down to about 15 frames at points. So, you know, they were horrible to play on PC, whereas now that's no longer an issue and you can actually play them in a decent way. It doesn't make them a good game, so to speak, but, you know, they actually run well.
At least you can experience it easier now for yourself to learn that.
But
cool, yeah, I'll definitely get some links to all of that and post that somewhere.
I would also add quickly to the end of that, you know, if people need a hand with that, because obviously I know people are not always super tech minded and might struggle with things in various ways. You can always join the Discord server that we put where the fixes are. So we've got an official fix server basically where we help people set up all this stuff. Obviously you've got my fix videos as well that explain these things, but you know, if you need a proper hand-to-hand in-depth of how to get things working, then just join the Discord server. It's on the same GitHub where the fixes are, and you can easily, you know, get help from us, and then we'll get you in the right area really for them. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'll get some links in the description and I guess a comment as well afterwards here for sure. Yeah, thanks for joining. It's been a lot of fun. Always fun to talk about these games. Thank you for everyone who joined the stream. As always, it's always amazing to me how many people still think about these games as much as we do, apparently, which is always great to see. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there, and I'll say goodbye.
Yes, thank you everyone, and I will see you probably in another stream with Phil at some point soon. Yes. God knows what it'll be about, but yeah. Something
insane like this one as well, I guess. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.